Welcome to the Horror Hangout podcast, where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and today I'm joined by regular co-host Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben, and indeed, hello everyone. How you doing? Only Ben can answer,
Hello.
really.
Hello, everybody. Plus, we are joined this week by a very, very special guest. He is a VFX artist with credits for Dashcam and Scare Package 2, plus a filmmaker. He's the director of short films Extension and Gagged. Welcome to the show, Guy Pearson. Hello.
Hello. How are you,
Hi
sir?
there. I'm very well. How how,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, thanks for sending me this film. It was really nice.
It's a lovely uplifting,
It is.
uplifting.
It's the feel-good film of the year.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
real thing. Actually, had a hard day at work. You've just celebrated. You've got Oreos. You've got champagne. You're going in, and then the littlest thing goes wrong. Can turn your day on its head, really, can't it?
it can. Yeah, and one thing we learned from this film is if you get home and your wife or partner or anyone, in fact, is making a lovely pasta dinner, boiling the pasta water, don't sneak up behind her and just scare her with a bunch of roses. Here you go. Ah!
Especially if there's a ghost or maybe a mental health condition, depending on your reading of the film.
Yeah, it's easy to get those two things mixed up, isn't it?
Or an old woman that lives in the attic that got cut out of the film.
Oh, wow!
Oh.
I haven't got this bit of trivia. This is why
No,
you're
Have
here,
me
you not?
Guy.
neither.
Oh,
Oh
right.
man, if you got all
Okay.
the trivia, fire it at us.
I'm going to
Yeah,
get
this
very confused with this film because I watched the deleted scenes too, and it's like a
Oh, there you
completely
go.
different
yeah,
film when you watch them.
that does happen, doesn't it? Uh,
Mhm.
well, this has been a long time coming, hasn't it, guy? Because we've always kind of like been chatting on social media and like just
Yeah,
randomly
I'm a,
popping up every now and again, discussing certain things. And we've always sort of wanted to get you on the show, but for some reason it's never come to fruition. But yeah, so we're really glad to
I
finally have
said to you
snagged you.
before, I'm a huge fan, so it's an absolute honor.
Can't believe it,
It's
man.
it's it's the best small podcast in the world.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you so much. I want that on there.
The
If we
best.
ever have
Yeah.
a pull quote, Ben, on anything, can we quote Guy on that? The
Well,
best
by the
small
time you
podcast in
use
the
the quote,
world.
it'll be the big podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And now
Hopefully.
Facebook have given up on fact checking, can say whatever we want,
We
Brilliant.
can say what we want, we can do what we want.
at least in
Uh,
America.
well, I mean, for me, it's kind of extra special then to talk to someone who listens to the show sort of all the time. It wasn't my mum. I'm lying. My mum doesn't listen to the show. She has absolutely no idea. So yeah, how did you discover the show? Do you know?
I do. I already told Andy. Is it all right for me to tell you?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I won't be like boring, I know this.
well, uh, Matthew BC, who is a director,
Yes,
he was on the podcast many, many moons ago,
he
and
was.
uh, when he got onto it, I started watching it, and he was doing The Brood,
The
and
Brood.
uh, and
Yes, I
I've
remember.
been on there ever since, and apparently Andy wasn't even part of it then. So
No.
yes, it's
I
been a while.
think, yeah. So I think Andy, you were part of it, but you weren't like,
Like I'd been on as a guest at that point. I'm gonna look up when our Brood
yeah.
episode was.
It can't have been. It's probably been like what, three? Has it been about 3 years? Me and you, Andy, mainly.
Yeah, it's been me and you for
Yeah.
3 years, even without Luke at this point, and then the
Yeah.
three of us for a little bit longer. To
Amazing, man.
find out exactly what that episode was. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
I'll look this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, appreciate it, guy, honestly. Super,
No, it's
super
good.
exciting.
It's an excellent podcast.
And it's
I
always
don't want
great.
to
It's
repeat
always,
what I said before, but
mm,
it's fantastic to just like listen to on the train or
yeah.
whatever. And like now I watch it on YouTube, but it's just great. It's a nice little party in your ears.
Well, we try. We try to make it a nice little part in your ears as best as we can. But it's really good to get people like yourself on as well. We've got maybe a different sort of different type of experience in different area of filmmaking as well, because we
Hmm.
do get obviously a lot of filmmakers on,
Yeah.
and various people who are critics as well. But of course, you've got some experience in visual effects as well as being a filmmaker yourself.
Allegedly.
Would you lead with one, or are you kind of like, do you kind of are you both that you kind of are your passions?
Well, I suppose I lead with visual effects, but not on purpose.
Mm,
I want to direct more and do
yeah.
more writing and directing, but visual effects seems to be the thing that just keeps daisy chaining over and over and over, and I end up getting one job, and then that leads to another job, another job, another job. So yeah, so it's all right. And then when you get to direct something, you get a free visual effects artist.
Yeah.
So it's
Have we got
swings
it
and
in the
roundabouts.
budget to hire a visual effects guy? Yes, we do. Here
Yeah,
I
I
am.
mean, I directed something in December, and it was literally there were the way to save time was to sort of say, no, we won't do that, we won't do that. I'll figure it out in post, and I actually meant it because I could,
Yeah.
I could genuinely change things, so that was good. But yeah, it's not something I want to concentrate on, the actual visual effects. I'd rather do directing and writing and stuff like that, really.
Mm,
But yeah, I've been around a bit with the old visual effects.
Good
amazing.
caliber though to be doing those two things. Isn't the director of Godzilla Minus One? Isn't he a special effects guy as well? Did lots of the special effects work himself.
I believe so, yeah.
So there
Well,
you
he had a
go.
big team behind him as well, but I mean, they were all, um, cheap.
Yeah, good.
So
And it's good if it's good enough for Godzilla, it's good enough for anyone.
Yeah.
no, but what they pulled off there was amazing for the money, whatever the money might be, because I know that the figures keep changing.
Yeah.
The figures keep changing. Yeah, we'll take
But
the price.
going down, right? So what I've heard is like, yeah, I've said it's about this much, but if I
Yeah,
told them how
the
much less they're
closer it
gonna,
got to the Oscar, the more the budget went up or down. It was weird,
Mm,
but yeah, the stuff that they done that was incredible,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people could learn from that.
What is your style in terms of visual effects, would you say, if you had to describe it yourself?
My style,
Well, is it like practical computer effects? Is that the kind of thing you do?
oh, it's not practical at all. No,
No.
it's all digital.
All digital. Okay,
But
got you, got you,
we talk about style. My style is invisible effects mostly.
got you.
It's things that if you see it, then I've done a bad job. So
Yeah.
it's just things like that, like touching things up and removing things or replacing things or whatever. It's like on the film we just did. There was some prosthetics that needed pretty much changing,
Mm.
and hopefully you won't be able to tell. But I don't know.
The invisible
It,
effects, man. There we go.
mm,
So it's a talent in
it doesn't
itself.
get you very far though, because you have like a show reel or something. It's like,
Oh
well, I
yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
that. There's nothing there. And it's
You
like,
did this,
okay,
did you?
exactly,
yeah.
he's
Hey,
got a
what?
mustache.
Tell me what I'm looking at here. Well, you don't need to know. And you say you just finished, so you're working on post in on a short film that you wrote and directed as well.
Yes. No, I didn't write it.
Oh no. Okay.
Nico Vaughn, who's an amazing, crazy, creative writer, director. She's all kinds of things. She wrote it, and it's about a comedian that gets annoyed with a heckler, and then it
Oh
all kind of gets a bit Saw-like. And
yeah.
yeah, and I directed that, and my friend Gene Dolders, who directed Blades Cut Deep, The Blade Cuts Deeper. I wish I was
Mm.
wearing the t-shirt. I'm not. Um, which we've, just sort of wrapped up on at the moment, which is a Giallo film. He did the cinematography on that for me, and it's amazing. So,
Wow.
not the film's amazing. We don't know yet, but the cinematography is amazing.
We don't know just yet. So a Giallo film. You said it was a UK based Giallo film as well, isn't it? You said.
Yeah, it's set in Liverpool, and but it
Wow.
is but it is a Giallo film, and it's
Yeah.
got all I hate the word tropes, but it's got all the tropes, and it's a real if you're into that kind of thing, then you'll get it immediately, and
Yeah.
it's crackers. It's a one of a kind.
What are
He's
the
he's brilliant.
Scouse editions of these tropes potentially without giving too much away?
Oh, the Scouse editions. Well, I'm not sure about the amount of Scousers in it, but it's in
Okay.
it's in it's actually in Liverpool,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm just thinking now, who is Scouse in it? I don't know if anybody is.
No
Maybe
one's officially
Gene's
Scouse.
probably waving his fist at me now, going, "Of course, there's fucking
Everyone
Scousers in
is.
it."
That's the magic
Yeah,
of acting, though, everybody. Listen,
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't even tell.
And
yeah,
the magic of Guy's invisible effects. He's just turning everyone into Scousers.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, can I tell you something that's awful?
Oh hell
Go
yeah.
on.
Yeah. No, I won't. You might have to cut this bit out.
Nah.
I'm directing something in a couple of weeks, and it's crazy. Have you seen The Greasy Strangler?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, yes,
It's in
yes.
that vein, and
Oh,
Okay.
it's going to be my favorite thing I've ever directed. It's like a little tiny little short. I'll let you know when it's done. It's horrible. Lawrence Harvey's in it, from the Human Centipede 2,
Oh right, okay. Oh
and
wow.
it's going to be different. I shouldn't have mentioned it because I can't tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I can if you want me to, but I'd ruin it anyway.
don't ruin
Yeah,
anything.
don't do
Um,
that.
You've
Don't do
got
that.
you've got me.
Same vein
One
as Greasy
ticket, please.
Strangler.
it
And
involves a tray of piss. Let's just put it that way.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
What you
Perfect.
should have said, you said, "Can I taste something horrible?" She said, "Can I taste something actually great?" That's very exciting. That's great.
Yeah. Well, look
Okay.
out for Tray of Piss the movie coming.
No, it's
Coming
called
soon.
Nappy.
Nappy.
Do you know what? That's all you needed to tell us. You didn't even need to tell us there was a tray of piss involved. All you needed to say was it's called nappy.
Okay.
Um, Lawrence Harvey, you said.
Yes.
I mean, literally, you didn't. If you said it was called nappy and Lawrence Harvey was in it, I feel
Yeah.
like I could fill in the blanks
Yeah.
myself.
It's kind of about that, about the fact that he's a bit sick of
Yeah,
being half naked and raping people and stuff in
yeah.
films. So
Like
yeah.
he's been typecast.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
well, that's exactly what the
It's like
film
a Leonard
addresses.
Nimoy thing all over again.
Yeah, in small
Exactly.
areas.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, how was working on films like Dashcam and Scare Package, obviously with Jed Shepherd on
I mean, to be brutally honest, they were I think they were around COVID time. They
Mm,
were all remote,
So
all
you
of
saw
it.
them on Zoom, wave to you, and be like, "Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'd get the occasional sort of like video essay
mm,
from Rob, like literally showing me on a screen what he wants to do, and that kind of thing. And there was a lot of, again, like I say, invisible visual effects. There's nothing in
yeah.
there I could point to say I did that. I mean, there kind of is. Some of the eyes and stuff I did, but yeah, it's a lot of invisible work that went
Mm,
on in there, and it was great. It was just nice to be involved, in like a
yeah.
Blumhouse film and all that kind of thing.
Mm.
So that was
I
good.
mean, someone like Rob Savage really came into his own during COVID as well, didn't he? In terms of how did you find filmmaking and sort of collaborating with people during COVID as well?
During COVID, I mean that was it really. It was Dashcam, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I think so. It was Dashcam and something else that I'm not recalling correctly.
Mm.
Yeah, but I met Rob. Well, I didn't even meet him, but I worked on Salt. You know, Salt, the short two
Yes,
minute
I love
film,
Salt. Love Salt. Yeah, it's great.
and that's how we sort of carried on. I didn't do
Yeah.
host, skipped host, and went to Dashcam.
Was there ever genuine talk about Salt becoming a feature length? I remember hearing that
Um,
at some point.
uh, uh, Maybe
Yeah, maybe. Watch the
say off
space.
air. Um, yeah, possibly. I believe
Possibly, yeah.
so.
I think it would work, definitely.
Yeah, I know there's things going on, but I
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm allowed
There
to
are
say.
things going on. I believe we've probably covered everything that Rob Savage has done feature length wise on this show.
yeah."
We've done
We've
Yeah,
Dashcam,
done
we've done
Dashcam, we've
Host,
done Host, we've done
The Boogeyman,
The Boogeyman.
the boogeyman.
The
Yeah,
Boogeyman. Uh, yeah. So interesting to see what he
long
does next.
may it continue.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so obviously the film we're discussing today is a film that for some reason we haven't got around to covering, even though I feel like this film always appears on like lists which are like the 10 most shocking or the 10 most
I feel like
scarring,
this has come
terrifying
perfect
movies.
timing, Ben, because I know guys, you say we've been talking to him for a while, been wanting to get him on for a while. Session 9 is a film almost like a phantom film because I know we're working on a companion book to go with the series, and you wrote a chapter for this film years ago, right? Like more than a year
Yeah.
ago. You're like, I'm going to write about watching Session 9.
Yeah, because I
And then
think
you realize it was like a phantom episode that we've never actually
yeah, and then I
recorded.
was like, let me find the episode number we covered this film, and then I
All
just couldn't
right.
find it, and so I was like, right, that's weird.
It
So
turns out we never did.
yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, at this point, episode 369, I think it's going to start happening soon, isn't it? I've definitely have to keep scrolling back to see if we've covered it.
Unless Ben has it's just a memory that you've repressed, and then like
Mm.
a little boy in your head on a tape in the future is going to go, I recorded that episode with Luke Condor. And
Yeah. Um, but yeah, is this a favorite of yours, Guy? You've obviously seen it multiple times before. You said
It
you saw it
was
when
a
it was released.
favorite of mine. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
it was. Okay,
you
This
didn't
interesting.
put
week
him off
it's
then,
Past
not.
Ben.
tense.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember sitting in a pub, like you do, and my mate Dave, he came in and he's there with he'd bring me things, and he gave me this DVD from, a proper DVD from the shop, and he said, "Here, Session 9." I was like, "Thanks," and he went, "You can keep it. It's shit." I was like, "Okay, um, cheers," and I took it home, and it was great. I really loved it,
Yeah.
and and I went through all the special features and everything. I loved it, and I was really into trying to find any kind of film that was shot in HD because at the time that was actually a
Yeah.
big deal. and this was one of the first things that
Mm.
actually shot in HD resolution,
Wow.
and
Okay.
that fascinated me, and I was more sort of thinking, uh, enthusiastic about that than the actual film, to be honest. But like I said before, I don't know if I said this on air or not, but the sound design on this film is incredible. And if
Mm.
you watch it with a really good sound system, it will frighten the living shit out of you.
Mm.
And if you don't, it genuinely it loses about 40% of its effectiveness, which is a shame. I mean, they should sell the DVDs with sound systems, like free ones.
Just like a
And
package deal.
absolutely.
So this
But
is how you get the most out of your new sound system. Enjoy.
yeah, watch it with this and tell us whether it's better or not.
It's just
And
a it's such a
yeah,
weird
but
cast as well, isn't it?
I was just gonna say I've written that down. Weird cast.
Yeah.
It's genuinely the strangest freaking cast you've ever seen in your life.
It's insane. It's bizarre.
It's a
Like,
who's who of detective drama. Mostly David Caruso, obviously.
well, a
I
who's
know,
who of
but
protective drama, and Peter Mullan, like who I don't think you connect to any of these actors.
no,
No,
it's like that's a guy at a train spotting. What's going on here? It's
Yeah,
just what's going on? And
he
he's
I want to
is.
know
brilliant in it, but it's just weird.
one of the story of how this obviously very Scottish man runs a asbestos disposal service in the US in the early
Yeah, I feel like
90s.
we need the prequel series
Yeah,
for Gordo. Wait, that's
but
his name, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Gordo.
Gordon.
Gordon. Yeah, it's really weird. He's got great like facial expressions though. And I've always kind of been a little bit terrified of him. He was in a series called Top of the Lake. Have you seen Top of the Lake with
No.
I think it's Elizabeth Moss is in it, and he's like a villainous character, but like quite an unconventional villainous character, and he's got this like sort of cold, dead eyes look, and he does it in this film as well, which is terrifying. Have you guys both seen Tyrannosaur as well?
no, but it's oh, that's that. Sorry, I
Yeah,
was gonna start laughing at you, thinking it was one of those asylum things. No, I know Tyrannosaur. Yeah.
there's a
That was
film where
great.
Peter
That was
Mullen
great.
voices
Yeah.
a Tyrannosaur. Yeah, the Paddy Considine directed
Yeah,
film.
I really enjoyed that. I thought
Yeah,
What's Her Face was fantastic. Apologies to What's Her Face because I can't remember her name. But
yeah,
yeah,
me neither now. I've lost it.
that woman that won that Oscar.
Oh, is it so Sophie from Peep Show? What's her name? I always go
Yeah,
Sophie from
Olivia
Peep
exactly.
Show.
Colman.
And
Olivia Colman.
there you go.
There we
Yeah.
go. We got there eventually. Top of the Lake. Top of the Lake is great. Like great mystery drama that I think went a bit under the radar. There was two series. The second series, it was like a anthology type thing. The second series is called China Girl. Really good.
Right.
But yeah, he's sort of like a villainous, weird kind of, but weird, almost like Charles Manson type, who's
Ooh,
like appears like a sort of hippie, sort of cult leader from the outside, and then as time goes on, you realize he's a bit sinister.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
In
what,
this
something
one,
that
if you eat the Oreos out of his glove box,
that sounds
just be careful.
disgusting.
Whenever I hear the Oreo thing now, I think of that RoboCop story from the documentary.
Robo wants an Oreo.
Robo wants an Oreo. I'll tell you what we should do, guy, because I've kind of wanted to steal this from Letterboxd recently. I feel like a good way for us to get to know new guests of the show,
Oh yeah,
is to do the four favorites Letterboxd thing where we ask you what are your four favorites. Now, I
that's
want
sod
to
off.
reframe this somehow, Andy. I don't know how we should do it. We should think about this for the future going ahead. Almost like a Mount Rushmore of horror films. Like, just give us four, and then you don't even have to explain them, but it'll give us an idea of how to
Okay.
of you
Well,
as a
Not to
fan.
I mean,
not to ape.
some of those fall into my favorite films of all time anyway.
Okay.
But there's like a tie of like three or four. It would be Videodrome immediately.
Yeah.
American Werewolf
Nice.
in London, obviously, not Paris. Um,
I did watch American Werewolf in Paris like last week.
I am sorry. By the way, what ending did it have?
It had the bungee jumping off of the at the Statue of Liberty
That's
ending.
so weird. Yeah, I've got an Australian DVD of that crappy film, and at the end, they have a baby, and it's a werewolf.
Oh,
It's
okay.
there's none of that jumping off anything. It's
Not
weird.
seen
Yeah.
the like of that since
Yeah.
The Howling 3, marsupials.
Oh, I love that film.
Now that's a
Um,
belter.
Which
it
you will
is.
drop into every episode now, Andy.
Yeah, every episode this is the year of marsupials.
It's got the woman in it out of that Australian thing. What's it called? That thing that Jude Law used to be in. Sorry, I'm showing my age now. Was it called Families? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one.
Families.
Yeah, it was like I can't remember.
Was it like a soap opera type thing or not?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It
It was on
was.
at night, and it was half. I think it was half English, half Australian,
Okay.
and you had these things, and the girl out of Families was in Halloween 3 or 4 or whatever you just said. But I don't even know why I just remembered that. But anyway, Videodrome,
Yeah.
American Werewolf. I'm blanking now. I might have to look behind me. Oh, The Beyond.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes,
Good
yes, yes.
choice.
Good choice.
and oh, I don't know. It's too difficult.
We did put you on the spot
You
with
did. You
that
could
one.
have like
We'll
tipped me off.
we'll finesse this new segment when we have guests, and obviously in keeping with modern traditions, you've said like a Mount Rushmore, Ben. You can rename shit whenever you want it, so we'll think of a new name for that mountain
Yeah,
where you're
let's
gonna
do
put
that.
where you
Okay.
put your top films.
Do you want to put pieces on there, seeing as it's right behind you?
No.
No, I hate
Um,
Jigsaw. Stop asking.
I- what is behind me?
The
Eraserhead.
Razorhead's behind you there. He's looking out.
Oh fuck him. What have we got here? It'll be something like Demons or Dawn of the Dead or something like
Oh,
that. But
Demons is so good.
yeah, I love Demons. Love a bit of Demons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
These
don't
are
know.
all
It's hard to say, isn't it? When people ask you what your favorite film is and all that kind of thing, I don't
yeah.
have an answer. I've just got
They're
a
all
few things
great
that I know I
choices.
love.
Great choices, but I'd say they're linked by great practical effects as well. All four of those that you've mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, five, I guess, as well. So you've
That's
obviously
not
got
why I
a
like them though.
yeah, you've obviously got a type. Um, yeah. Sorry, just thinking about the ending of. I'm gonna have to hunt down the ending of American Werewolf in Paris to see the baby.
The
Isn't it
baby ending.
weird? Isn't it weird that American Werewolf in Paris plays a bit like a sort of sleazy teen comedy for like for most
Yeah,
of it?
it's shit. It's like Porky's werewolf
Yeah,
style.
it's so weird.
It's crap. It's
It is
blowing up
just
a condom, thinking it's chewing gum and all
he
this kind
blows
of
up a
thing.
condom
It's
thinking
like
it's chewing
somebody
gum.
put money into this.
He writes someone writes on a napkin like, "Are you gonna bone her or something?" When he's talking to oh, what's her name? French actress from like Beyond Sunrise and Beyond Sunset, like
Yeah.
a really well-respected actress who's just gone. I'm just randomly gonna be in American Werewolf in Paris
She goes,
as
"What's
well.
that? The check's cleared. I'm in."
Yeah, I mean, it probably sounded like a good idea on paper.
Yeah, like
The
a
sequel
sequel
to
Julie
to
a
an iconic
classic
Delpy.
horror
Julie
film.
film.
Delpy. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
very
he's
weird.
just crap. It's the guy who directed Mute Witness, isn't it?
Okay, Anthony Waller.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm terrible
yeah,
with
you're right.
names.
Mute
Anthony Waller
Witness.
Thompson,
Yeah.
Anthony Worrell Thompson of Ready Steady Cook fame.
of
Yeah,
shoplifting fame, allegedly.
allegedly, but it put his career in the gutter, and that was it for him. He's
He was
done.
never seen in another werewolf film ever again.
No, he wasn't. Um, okay, let's talk about a bit of horror news, but first let's talk off the top of that about the Prince Charles Cinema in
Oh yeah.
London, Leicester Square, which is um possibly at risk of closure currently. There is a petition going around. We will put this petition in the show notes. Um, everybody who's anybody who loves film has been signing it. People who've had their films premiere at the cinema as well have been signing it, and it's to do with a bloody landlord, and the
Want
landlord.
to redevelop this? Want to
Well,
redevelop the
redevelop it.
property for? Oh, I could put a Nando's in here. No.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
can't see it going anywhere, to be honest.
no, you'd hope
I
not,
signed
wouldn't you?
the petition, and it was well above what they were
Yeah.
after in the first place.
It is
So
absolutely flying the petition,
yeah,
definitely. But of course, one of the original cinemas where Fright Fest was hosted as well. That's right, isn't it? It
Yeah,
was.
like it's definitely a common place for them. Lots of people's premieres were there over the years.
Mm.
Definitely like part of the scenery of Leicester Square in London
Yeah,
as well. And you
it's
know what?
a cultural institution, and of course, it would be an absolute crying shame for a cinema like that to close down. So yeah, let's do all we can. I'm hoping if you're listening to this podcast, you're a film fan. Otherwise, what you doing here? But still,
We watch them for them and explain them. If you do that, if you only listen because we tell you about films you haven't got to watch, do us a favor to me. It won't take you 2 clicks. Go on.
yeah, do it as a favor to Andy. You owe him. I will also say it once hosted a double bill of The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, and Brendan Fraser attended. I feel like That's all you need to know about the place. This is the kind of
Hallowed
place.
ground at this point.
It's yeah, exactly. I reckon. Yeah. So let's all bundle together and
You've come at a very good time, Guy, because obviously we have this leading the news.
Yeah.
But I know if you're a listener to the show, you'll know the type of news that Ben likes absolute best of all. When there's any Resident Evil on the horizon, and he's chockers with Resident Evil news today.
Yeah.
I'm
I've
chockers.
seen. Yeah.
I've only got one. I've only got one piece of. I've only got one story. Is that it?
Isn't there new lots of stuff? Like
Oh.
new series, new
Oh.
film.
Well, the piece of news I was next going to come to is that Barbarian director Zach Cregger is writing and directing the next Resident Evil movie. Constantine Film, PlayStation Productions, bringing Resident Evil video game saga back to the big screen. He's attached to write and direct. Several studios engaged in a bidding war for the project. And you know what he's gone and said? I want to take it back to the title, back to its horror roots, and be more faithful to the initial games, which everyone bloody says,
Sounds
don't they?
familiar.
But I thought he was doing something else first. I thought he'd already been attached to something. I can't remember
I
if
think
I'd.
he's done something else
He's
already,
already
right?
done something else.
Yeah, he has. He's directed that
Companion.
thing.
Companion, which is it got loads of stuff on like Screen Unseen or
Yeah,
variants
yeah, yeah,
thereof
yeah.
in cinemas this last week, and apparently, word on the street is it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I've heard it. I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, you know what, that looks pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind checking it out. I think it's out this Friday in UK cinemas, so might go and check that out. It looks slightly different, I guess, to what he did with Barbarian.
Yeah.
Guy, were you a fan of Barbarian? Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah.
I watched it. Yes,
Yeah. Did
it
you
was
know anything
okay.
about like? I guess it's a twist, isn't it? But did you know anything about that before it happened, or was that a big old
It
shock?
depends what you mean by what was the twist.
Well,
I don't know.
obviously, spoilers for Barbarian. It's a few years old now, but still. There's a big old, tall,
There's a horrible
scary,
naked woman in the
horrible
basement, isn't
naked
there?
Oh
woman in
right,
the
no,
basement. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I was watching it and just thought, well, he's gonna get killed in a minute, and this is gonna happen,
yeah,
and it did, and,
yeah.
and
But I
then it
feel
went
like
off.
the way this particular lady, woman, just stomped into frame from the shadows was great. It was like one of my favorite big.
Smashed Pennywise's head up.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrified me. Probably the one of my last oh my god, holy shit moments watching the film. So, not that I expect too many of those moments in a Resident Evil adaptation, but you know what? We're spoiled, aren't we, as Resident
You know,
Evil
if
fans?
something scary would happen in a Resident Evil adaptation.
Go on.
No, no, I'm just saying you would hope that in a Resident Evil adaptation something
All
scary
right,
would
okay.
happen. I'm looking forward to seeing Companion.
Yeah.
Looking at the, like I say, everyone's reviewed it very favorably so far on my letterbox. I can see lots of 4 and 5 stars, and I see it begins with the death of a billionaire. So cheery start as well.
Does it?
Yeah. The
Okay.
synopsis of this is a billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to a lakeside estate.
I mean,
So there we go.
who
Can't
knows?
wait.
Who knows what happens? Can't wait for the billionaire
I'll be
death
first in
and
line.
the
Yeah.
events that happen afterwards. Okay, and the other piece of news I've got is we didn't discuss Robert Eggers' his new film last week, did we, Andy? I don't think
And
we
we
did.
did. He's doing a Wolfman.
Labyrinth,
Oh, I know
Well,
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth is apparently next,
right?
but he did also announce on top of Labyrinth, he's also going to be directing a horror movie titled Werewolf
Oh,
with a U instead of an O because it's probably set in like 13 something and
13
well,
something Germany.
is it 13 something Germany? Is that right?
Oh,
It's
so if you spell it with a U, surely you have to soften your W's into V's
13th
as well. That'd be
century.
Werwolf.
It's set in 13th century England. The script also features dialogue that was true to the time period and translations and annotations for those uninitiated in Old English. Well, there's a very small percentage of people who would be able to. Is it kind of like how the Green Knight that was the kind of dialogue? It was a bit like that, I think. It was a bit Old English. Um, he's planning on. Well, initially Eggers was planning on shooting in black and white, but that's no longer the case. He's just gone. You know what? I think I've overdone it with the black and white.
Colour it in, will you?
I can have a film
For
off.
once in your buddy life.
Color it in. Um. Yeah. So how's that sound to you both? Did you see Nosferatu, guy?
I have not. No.
No.
I wanted to, but then I guess I didn't. So no, I've not seen it. I've heard amazing things about it and some terrible things about it. So I don't know what I'm going
Hmm.
to feel about it at all.
Somewhere in the
And
middle where I
and
think it was
loads of
well made.
spoilery images and stuff that I didn't really need to see. But
Count Orlok's knob.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've just spoiled that for me
Well,
now.
Swords for the
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Got nothing to
Count
Yeah,
look
Orlok's
forward
knob.
to now.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was well made, but my jeans remained uncreamed. Uh,
I
Okay.
mean, we're talking about pull-out quotes. That could possibly go on the poster, Andy.
yeah,
For
someone's
that.
like, "Oh, for balance, we need a
Yeah,
tepid review
we
of
need a
this
two
film."
star. We need a
My
2-star
jeans
review.
remained uncreamed.
Yeah.
Poster
Yeah.
quote. My friend
Lovely.
once, sorry to interrupt, but my
No, go
friend
on.
once, my favorite thing he ever said, and he was being deadly serious. He just watched The Godfather Part 2, and I wish they had this as a poster quote. And he said, "Nah, not for me. I prefer They Live." And I just thought, yeah,
Com- Completely unrelated.
yeah.
True, I do prefer They Live to The
I
Godfather
prefer
Part
They
3.
Live, to be fair, yeah. Is it better than They Live? No, it's not.
Well, in the
There's
bin.
Part 2 actually, The Godfather, but yeah, it was yeah.
I think I used to be a bit, well, I think when I was a certain age, I was almost like, well, I could watch that film or I could watch my VHS copy of Cool Runnings again. And I feel like I always just defaulted to that, no matter what happened.
In many ways, Ben, better things to aspire to. Do you want to be involved in in organized crime, which is heavily based on family in the first place, so you weren't born into it,
Yep,
or just a couple of lads all getting together and trying their hardest to be in the Olympics? It's a more positive message for all of us, I
it
think.
is, isn't it? Yeah. Everybody kissing a man's lucky egg. And
Yeah.
drink candies in it
That
as well.
sounds
So.
disgusting.
It's not without its
Um,
conflict, though. You know, that guy slags off that other guy's mom's name for a little bit. There's a bit of tension
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
starring that fellow with one name
Yeah.
yeah. Sanka.
out of Cliffhanger. No, I can't remember his name. What's his name?
Which guy? I
You know
clip.
his name. You see how crappy our names. I know people don't know the names. Um,
I'm just frantically Googling things while you say what's his name.
The
And what's
he's
his
got
name?
Candyman.
one name. He's in Cliffhanger and he's in Cool Runnings, and I can't remember his name.
Oh no.
Um,
It's not
yeah,
Sanka. That guy.
Sanka. That doesn't sound right.
That's one character's name. That's the guy with the lucky egg. Is he one
I
of the
don't.
is he
No,
one
no,
of the
no.
bobsled
I
team?
mean the actor.
So
Oh.
the
Oh.
character and the
Oh yeah,
actor.
I know exactly who you mean. Like the main character, right?
Possibly.
Here we go.
Right, let's
We'll
hit
find
Cool
out now.
Runnings
gonna
up.
gonna write a strangled route here.
Oh, I don't know. Leon.
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 I've just
Leon.
remembered as you said it. Yeah.
Yes.
His name is just Leon.
I was
Yeah.
saying because Sanka's a character in Cool Runnings. He's the one who
Yeah.
owns the lucky egg.
He's the guy. He's the comedy. He's the stank-up comedian, isn't he? Doug something or other from
Yeah,
Class
Dougie
Act and
Doug
all
is
that kind of thing.
Sanka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sanka does have a full name. His name is Sanka Coffee.
Sanka ship.
Sanka
Uh,
coffee.
yeah.
That's what I did this morning. Anyway, let's 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 continue on. So, what we've been watching, anything we've watched in the last 7 days or so that we'd like to discuss or recommend or just completely slate and obliterate. Guy, have you seen anything recently you wanted to discuss?
I have, but they're all really old. I don't know if
It's all
that's
right.
That's
okay.
fine. That's absolutely fine.
The most recent thing I've seen is Craven the Hunter.
Oh
Oh
wow.
God, me too. I did the same.
You're
It was the
craving
best thing
some
I'd seen
spun.
that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what though?
What?
I don't mind getting into Craven and the Hunter. I preferred it to all the Venom films. I've seen all of those.
That's not difficult though, is it?
I know it's not, but still, my expectations were on the ground, and
Right.
it was a little bit better than that.
Well, I'm always up for a bit of over the top Russell Crowe these days. He
Yeah.
entertains me. No, pardon the pun. But yeah, he's great when he's like chewing the scenery,
Yeah,
and he
he
does
loves
in
it, doesn't
this.
he? He
But
absolutely
the
loves
rest
it.
of it just kind of left me a bit cold. But
Yeah, I am a
I'm-
bit over the
I wish
Spider-Man
I'd not brought
villains.
it up now.
Yeah, I'm a bit over Spider-Man villains need some sort of origin story where they're the hero. It's kind of like, well, yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I watched that bloody Madam Web as well, and it
Yeah,
was like watching The Room, like for
In
Yeah.
many ways, more entertaining because it is just so insane.
yeah, it was
So many of the choices in that
it
are
was
so
bonkers.
bananas.
Mm.
Some of the acting choices were just strange, and the character actual Like the what
The
what they were
whole
doing was just weird.
the
The
whole bit
bad
where she just
Spider-Man who doesn't do any Spider-Man
oh that was
things
horrible.
and gets
Hated
run
that.
over twice.
He just
And he was like
jumps.
really badly dubbed as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Jump
It
man.
so strange.
What about a bit when Madam Web herself just randomly goes to the jungle in the middle of the film? Oh,
Oh,
see you later.
to ask a question,
I'm off
Mm.
to the jungle, you know. See you in a bit.
Yeah, that was my favorite bit.
then becomes
That was the best bit.
old and blind at the end. Spoilers for Madam Web.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that
Uh,
was exciting as well. Yeah, I wish I'd not brought that up too.
that's
Anyway,
okay.
what have I watched? I've got them written down here actually because I know I was coming on here.
Oh yes.
But they're
Good
all really
work.
old. They're all things you've discussed before, I think.
That's all right. Get your ratings in.
Right then, like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Army of
Uh,
Darkness, that kind of thing.
Oh,
yes.
you've had a
Um,
good week by the sound of things.
well, they're just things I watch all the time, to be honest.
Mm.
But yeah, Elm Street 2 is one of my favorite of the Elm Streets, to be
I
honest.
really like Elm Street too.
It's I think it's because it's the first one I saw. It wasn't like I didn't really know what it was, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I went in thinking the weird thing is I was a massive fan of V. Do you remember V?
The series,
The
like
TV show?
yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing a like an award ceremony thing where Robert Englund had won something, and it was for maybe the first
Yeah,
or
he was
second,
in it, wasn't he? Yeah.
first Elm Street maybe. And for some reason that I still can't figure out, when he accepted the award, his photograph came up in the corner, but it was two photographs, and it was one of him, like Robert Englund, and one of Freddy Krueger.
This is
And
what
I
he
was like,
looks like.
"Holy shit! Is he in the Elm Street films?" So I wanted to
Oh
see the Nightmare
yes.
on Elm Street films just because Willie from V was in
Yeah.
the Nightmare on Elm Street films. So so we ended up watching the second one first. I don't know why. I think the first one was broken at the video shop or something.
Oh
So
yeah.
so I watched the second one first, and that's always stuck with me. And I
There's
didn't
quite
realize it was a big sort of homoerotic
I
fantasy
think if you
thing
watch
for
the Nightmare on
years.
Elm
yeah.
Street documentary, lots of people involved in the making of that film were like, "No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. A
not."
lot of people were like
It's
that.
like that episode of Star Trek, and it's not gay in any way.
Some people are like, "Oh yeah, absolutely," but other people are like, "Excuse me."
The
There
PE
is
teacher when he's wearing that leather hat and then gets whipped in the
yeah,
shower. No,
goes to the
Yeah, he
bar.
gets whipped
You know
on
when he
the
goes to the
bum
bar and he
with
gets
some
whipped.
towels.
yeah.
That's the straightest scene in the whole film.
And
I'll
you've
have you
got
know. There's
Robert
quite a lot.
Shea,
There's quite
Robert
a lot
Shea from
about.
New Line Cinema. Sorry, I keep
No, no, it's
It's all
interrupting.
right.
okay. It's okay.
It's
It's
the
okay.
perils
We're
of
used to
Zoom.
it.
Mm.
Uh, Perils of Zoom. There's quite a lot about his role. Well, I say quite a lot. It's probably like a good 5-10 minute section in the Robert England documentary, where he talks about V, and other people talk about V as well, which was quite nice.
Yeah, I love V.
Yeah.
It was like an event. I don't know how old you two were when it came out, but um, I mean maybe you weren't born. Ugh. But yeah, it was like an event. They had trailers and everything every week on ITV saying this thing's coming now, but they wouldn't tell you what it was.
Oh
And
wow.
it was like this big
I
V
love that.
sprayed thing on the trailers. And then when it came out, and I was like, oh my God, it's the Beastmaster. So I've got to watch this. And yeah, and then that led to Elm Street. And
Yeah.
I've been a lifelong fan of Nightmare on Elm Street ever
So
Wow.
since.
is Nightmare on Elm Street 2 your favorite? Did you say?
I would say nowadays probably the first, but the
Mm.
second has always been. Everybody always says the third, but that always left me cold for some reason. But the first
Yeah.
one is the better one, but the second will always. It just reminds me of when I was younger, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was. It's just also that's another one with like changes to it and stuff. The like if you had it on VHS in the 80s, it's got different music on it and whatnot than the one that's out now, and that really annoys me. But
Yeah.
what can you
Big
do?
fan of Nightmare on Elm Street too. My favourite bits are probably when he beats up a whole load of kids at a barbecue. That's one of my favourite bits.
Yeah.
He
Knew you
just
were gonna
pops
say
out
that.
and he goes, "All right," and the one guy's like, let me hit you so hard you fall into the bushes and catch fire." Just slash up some guys.
Pop some hot dogs.
Yeah, it reminds me of being at like house parties as a kid growing up in the sort of late 90s, early. That sometimes happened. A fella that wasn't invited would just turn up and start slashing people up.
Start slashing
Yeah,
people
and
up,
all the
setting
gates
people
would
on
be
fire.
electrified.
Yeah,
It was
pool
a,
would start boiling.
Yeah.
when
And
uh
it-
when I
it's-
went to LA last year, we did try and hunt down the house from A Nightmare on Elm Street, but the people who own it have absolutely no interest in any fans of the films coming to see it. So everything's like overgrown. There's like big plants in the way of the house and the sign. You just literally can't see that it's that house. So
On the fence, there's a sign. This is just a boring house in here.
oh, it's so
Stop trying to look at
disappointing
it.
because we were just like driving around for ages trying to find it, and then we did, and we were like, oh my God, I can't believe that's it. I'm so upset.
The question remains: why would you buy a famous house from a film that you didn't want to then
Yeah,
be able to look at? Buy the
exactly.
one next door.
Yeah. Well, the people who own Laurie Strode's house, they love it. They've got like Halloween decorations out. I mean, it was Halloween, but apparently they've just got like a pumpkin on the stoop that they just leave out there for people to go and pose with. It's
Pumpkin on the
lovely.
stoop.
It's like a
Sounds
stoop.
like a
Yeah, I think they
band.
call it a
Yeah.
stoop. Haven't you got a stoop? We've all got a stoop.
No, it's just a little walk.
No, no. Um,
Just got a bad knee. I'm 41 years old. Come on.
anything that you've seen, Andy? You wanted to mention?
Couple. Nothing that I would necessarily say. Right, stop what you're doing, lads. Pause. Go and watch this. I've seen VHS Viral, which is the only one I hadn't seen up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the weakest of the whole packages. I think it's kind of counterintuitive to having like very VHS coded, wrap around and all of the sort of infographics and all the things that, all of the DNA of it, but then it be about viral video, which is not on that format.
Mm.
So I found that a bit jarring. What I will say for it is that Satanic Parallel Realms have a much stronger stance against domestic violence than we do in this one. So good on them.
Oh, okay.
Satan Dimension.
There we go. Good
What
for
else? I
something.
saw 2024's Tarot or Tarot, depending on how
Oh
much you want to
yeah.
anglicize that.
How did you find that?
Final Destination with spooky men, right? Go,
Yeah.
oh, I've got you.
Trevor Henderson doing the monster designs in that, right?
Yep. And
That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
James Swanton is the one. A couple of the creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
like
it.
some of the creature stuff that not
He was
sure.
he was the magician, and I thought that
Mm.
was one of the best parts in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Magician
Yeah.
was really good.
Mm.
But
Some of the
I don't know.
performances
I think
maybe not so much, right?
yeah, well, I'm not even sure it's the performances because there are people in it who are perfectly capable of being good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. One, I'm not sure how old the people in it are meant to be
Mm.
because they're sort of presented as college age kids that can drive and drink and do all these other things, but yet they're largely treated like children by all of the inverted commas
I
adult
didn't. I
characters.
did not enjoy. What's the guy Ned from Spider-Man?
Ned from
That
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
actor?
yeah. It felt to me like it had been rewritten after he'd been cast
Yeah.
to
But
to
there,
center
there
it a
was a
bit more
terrible
around
like
him.
there was a terrible fake out where like you thought he was dead and then suddenly he just popped up and went, "Oh
Turns up
right,
at the
okay."
end like the TSA fellow at the end of Get Out, and he's like, "It's me, I'm here. Everyone get in the car."
Yeah, yeah, I'm all right. Don't worry about me. Pops
And
up at the end
then
to bow in front of the audience like some show, some terrible
yeah,
show.
and then I watched a low budget UK film with Danny Thompson in it, UK horror podcaster and star. I
Yeah.
watched 2024's Good Neighbours, directed by Richard Anthony Dunford.
Wait,
Sorry,
what's it? What's he laughing at?
Have you seen Good Neighbours, guy?
let's not talk about this.
I want to know if you're involved in this in any way.
He's googling me, isn't he?
I'm not googling you. You
I
could
haven't
you could
I
admit,
haven't
or you
actually
could.
seen it. I've not seen it, but I did work on it.
Did you?
Yes.
Interesting.
It was an
Any
interesting one. I will not get you to talk shop.
No, I've
I
legitimately not seen it, but
no,
it just made me laugh that you picked something that I've worked on.
no,
You did that on
genuinely didn't do it
purpose.
on purpose. I saw that Danny had posted about it and I thought I will watch Good Neighbours and see what the crack is.
I
I
thought you
would
had
have
watched
liked.
it.
Yeah, I have watched it
Oh, you're saying
throughout.
I should watch it?
No, no, no. I'm not going to say you should rush out and watch it.
Okay.
Time
I
is
mean, if you
infinite.
worked on it, you definitely
Sorry,
should.
content
Well,
is infinite. Time is not.
I've literally seen like 3 shots of it because I did some removals and that's it. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think they're not given too much to go with. I would have liked to have seen lead performance. I don't just want to name check the one person I do know. So Danny and her male co-star
Ronan
Carl
Keating, it looks
Kennedy,
like. Looks like
Carl
Ronan
Kennedy
Keating.
Williams. Oh, and it's Judson Vaughn is the other villainous lead in
Okay.
that one.
Mm.
I would have liked to have seen the script give them a little bit more to go at and be a little bit more over the top, or may either lean a little bit more into some of the comedy stuff because I've seen them do funny stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? Always will show up for a bit of low budget. I think there's at the heart of it, there's a fun story there. I would have maybe just executed it slightly differently.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, I've not seen it, so so I'm quite happy about
Only thing I want to mention, I've finally started watching the Mick Garris adaptation of The Stand, the miniseries from the mid 90s, because it was on In Search of Darkness 1994. I was like, why have I never seen that? I feel like I should have. And it's a little bit of a blind spot for me in terms of Stephen King, because I think I was always put off the book by like the size of it. Not that that stopped me reading things like it, I guess, but for some reason, The Stand felt like it was more of a someone to tackle. And as a huge fan of the Dark Tower, there are like obviously parallels and crossovers with certain characters. I don't know if you got have you guys either of you seen the 1994
No.
miniseries The
that. Yeah,
Stand?
I watched it
Yeah,
when it aired.
you did. Oh wow,
Yeah,
man, amazing.
it's been a long time. I remember liking it. I don't know how it's aged.
Oh, it's great. It's so good. I feel like you know what to expect. It's so 90s, and you know it almost
Yeah, well,
feels
that's
like
literally when I last watched it. So
yeah.
it's I remember Rob Lowe's in it, isn't he?
Rob Lowe is in it, yeah, yeah,
Right,
as Nick, so as the sort of the deaf and mute character Nick Andros,
right.
Gary Sinise, Molly Ringwald,
Hmm.
and then of course
Big
the
cast then.
yeah, and the villain of the piece, Randall Flagg, is also in the Dark Tower. So that that's my favorite Stephen King series. So that was really it's really interesting to see how that character is represented in this. Um, but yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it so far. I've not finished it yet. There's four episodes that are like 90 minutes long. Um, and yeah, it's awesome. Like obviously tackling big sort of like pandemic stuff, and then there's loads and loads of really complex characters. And it's just yeah, it's great. I just
Yeah.
love those 90s vibes.
Talk about event TV again, like V,
Yeah.
because that was like a two-parter when it was on TV, and I believe it was on Sky at the time. And sorry, my computer's being stupid. Um, yeah, and that was the one everybody watched because you either had the four channels or the three channels, whatever it was at the time, and possibly satellite TV,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was the huge event, and it was what Sky based like a lot of trying to get subscribers around. So
Mm.
there's just adverts for it everywhere. But
Bringing
I
this
remember
TV in.
really enjoying it, and like, again, I would have thought that would age quite badly, but
I mean,
I'll have to check it out again.
there's some CGI shots which I feel like are unnecessary, possibly, like where you're like, well, they could have you remember the CGI the shot that Mick Garris has obviously got in Sleepwalkers, for example,
Oh
that
yeah.
weird that weird like
Cat face.
face cat
Look,
face.
it looks like plasticine, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
I love Sleepwalkers. I really love it.
there's a couple of bits in this which are very like reminiscent of that. So I feel like he was very obviously a big fan of that sort of style of effect
Right.
when he was making this. But it's really good. Like the sets are great as well. Like for something that's like a worldwide sort of event in obviously with the pandemic, it's quite easy, I guess, when the budget isn't huge. But apparently the budget was quite big. For some reason, when I was watching it, I was thinking, I feel like this was made on the cheap, but no, some of
No.
it did cost a lot of money. So,
Okay.
um, I highly recommend it. There is a 2020 version, isn't there? There's a 2020 adaptation, which I've not seen.
Yeah, that kind of like went under the radar, didn't it? And
Mm,
I, I know nothing about it.
See,
yeah.
watching the original. I mean, being as you've conjured TV, Ben, I did just start. Maybe not such event television as the adaptation of Stephen King's The Strand, but I did start watching the Friday the 13th series, the first series of it.
Oh,
It's very Monster of the Week. I imagine I've not watched episode
okay.
2 yet, but I imagine it's continuing with that. Not a Jason to be seen.
Oh,
It
like
begins with
anthology.
yeah, an old man has got a shop, and slight spoiler for this, unfortunately, he does pass away, everybody. The old man dies, and then two of his relatives, who are cousins, there is like a guy that wears a suit jacket and shorts, who's a bit of a joker, and then
A suit
a
jacket and shorts.
yeah,
Jesus.
suit jacket and shorts. Is a bit of a joker, and there is a young woman with beautiful curly hair, and she's got a boyfriend who's going to announce their engagement at the company picnic, but she's got to go and deal with her uncle's shop, and it's full of haunted bullshit, and and they want to close the shop down, so they're selling everything off and giving everything away, and this dolly goes to a little girl. I'm afraid it's a murderous dolly, like Dolly Dearest, and it's slashing people up. It's throwing toy records at an old lady who's looking at it. It's suffocating a stepmom to death in the hospital. All the classic stuff. And in this pilot episode, they meet an old man who knew their uncle. He's like, all this stuff's bloody haunted, mate. They fix it up. They sort out the doll, and then the episode one ends with them going, we're gonna have to get back everything, all this haunted shit that he sold, plus everything that we gave away in that car boot sale the other day. And
So that's
like
what it's
that, a
about.
series was born, and
Oh
I
wow,
am absolutely
dude!
in because it is the best kind of
How
awful.
many episodes are there? Do
There
you
are
think?
3 seasons.
3 seasons. Each season has 26. Well, the third season has. So there are 72 episodes of this that exist. You're never
Whoa.
gonna finish it. This is
Join us
it.
for our new spin-off podcast, Fridays the 13th, with
Every
Andy and Ben.
Friday.
Oh my god, man!
Every Friday.
I've not seen it. Did
Can't
so?
wait.
Did you both watch the Freddy series?
Yeah, I've got it over there
Yeah.
somewhere.
Oh no, man!
I like the first one. Mick Garris directed one of those, didn't he?
Really? Okay.
Probably not. I'm probably lying. I know Toby Hooper did.
Oh wow.
I think Toby Hooper did the pilot. Um, Again, I might be lying, but yeah, I like those. I've got
Hmm.
it's I don't have them all. I've got like series one or something on
I
DVD,
think
and they
series
never
one, I
bothered
definitely
bringing them
saw a
out.
DVD release. I'm not sure I ever found any of the later ones.
Yeah, I don't they used to come out on VHS for renting a long time ago, and there was like 6 or 7 videos that you could get. You could actually rent them, and they were kind of like fobbing them off as basically new Nightmare on Elm Street films,
Yeah.
and they were all 18s for some reason. There was no need for them to be 18 rated, but yeah, so I saw them that way. I remember watching Laurie Petty get her head cut off just before I went to school.
And that's all you can think about.
Yeah,
And
but
I didn't get to watch an episode of Freddy's Nightmare that morning after that had happened. So
well, it was that or Neighbours, so it's not good neighbours. So yeah,
yeah.
I
And
enjoyed those. I enjoyed them. They were silly. And you've probably seen the Elm Street documentary, haven't you?
Yeah.
The big 3 hour thing, and they were kind of like cut down, I believe, because they were a bit much. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
just like you just basically get some Freddy giving you some. He's basically the crypt keeper in this, right? He's basically like, oh, I'll tell you
yeah. Apart,
what.
apart from the first episode, which you've probably seen, which
Yeah,
is
definitely
the
seen that
Toby
one.
Hooper one, where it kind of tries to give him a bit of a backstory, but they're all right. It's just it's just disposable
Oh yeah, that's it.
entertainment, isn't
The
it?
first one is literally Freddy's Nightmares. I tell you what,
Yeah,
this is
he
the
goes to
worst day I
court
ever
and
had.
everything. It's
Wow.
crazy.
This is the day he got Freddy Krueger. So yeah, and then everyone else's is just like I think the second episode is like this kid's having a shit one working the night shift at a drive-through. Pretty
Yeah,
sure that's the second one.
and I think the third is possibly the one I was just talking about with Laurie Petty, where she's a runner and she runs through the finishing line and it actually cuts her head off, I believe.
Oh
Where
God.
I
the
may have
work
made that up.
experience kid. What am I going to make this out of? Ribbon? Oh,
Yeah,
they only have cheese wire.
it
A bit
actually is
cheese work.
ribbon, but it still takes her head off.
Yeah,
It's
have it.
Quality bit of
Uh,
business.
awesome. So
apart
on
from
to the
that
main
though,
event. On to the main event. The
session
film.
9.
The film that we've all watched for this week's episode is Session 9, which is a 2001 American psychological horror film directed by Brad Anderson. Story-wise, a asbestos abatement crew who take a cleanup job at an abandoned mental asylum amid an intense work schedule uh, have experienced mysterious events occurring around them. And the title itself refers to a series of audio tape sessions with an asylum patient that run parallel to the crew's experiences. In terms of ratings, 6.4 on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, 68% audience score, 63% critic score. 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and some choice reviews. Matt Lynch says, crumbling domesticity mirrored in a decrepit, poisoned estate, and thwarted masculinity spun out like an analog tape. 3 stars. I like that. Cinema Void says David Caruso's acting is like asbestos. People thought it was good back then until everyone realized that long exposure to it could cause a number of life-threatening illnesses. 2 stars.
Bit harsh.
Sorry, David. Patrick Pryor says scared yelling dads in a haunted house. 3 stars. And Cameron Fetter says much more restrained and atmospheric than I would have expected from a 2001 movie about an haunted asylum. 3.5 stars. Yeah, I mean, I think that's right, isn't it? If you read the description of this film in 2001, you probably would go into it expecting
I'm
lots of
expecting
other things.
House on Haunted Hill. I'm expecting video footage of someone shaking the head ever so fast and
Well,
then
yeah, it was
running
around
up
about
on
that
you.
era, wasn't it? When
Someone putting a video camera up and seeing some ghost doctors. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, exactly. But I've been reading a little bit about like reviews and stuff, and people are sort of comparing it to like a J horror as well. That's
Okay.
those sort of like unconventional scares. I guess the atmosphere is more important than, actual literal jump scares, I guess. I guess like Silent Hill vibes as well, especially when you're trying to make your way through this labyrinth of corridors in the dark at night. Very scary.
I mean,
Um,
the greatest thing that really spiked my anxiety in this one is just what the boss of this company agrees for the schedule of doing this. I think 3 weeks should have been.
Jesus.
Hospital's massive, absolutely massive, and chockers with asbestos, and he's like, should be a 3 week job, but. And by the time he's finished, I think if I was David Caruso, but shut up,
Yeah.
because he's like, we can do it in 2, and then before he leaves, it's like 4 days.
Yeah. It is a little bit insane. I think they're kind of like bidding for the job, though, right? They're trying to.
Yeah.
They're desperate for this job. Desperate.
Yeah, and
They need
basically
it.
what Gordon's looking to do is he's looking to circumvent the tender process. He's like, I'm not going to put in an actual bid for this, but I'll do it in 25 minutes, and and I'll charge you the base rate of pay will be like £2.5 and a curly whirly. But if we do it in this time, you have to give us 10 grand.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
good for it. Don't forget that. He's
Yeah.
good for it.
He's absolutely good for it. Yeah. Let's talk about the weirdest cast of all time.
Yeah.
So Peter Mullan is Gordon Fleming. He's the head honcho. He's the main man. He's the boss. And then David Caruso.
From
David
First
Caruso's
Blood.
only appearance in
Yeah.
what was that?
David Caruso from First Blood,
Uh,
infamously.
is it? This is the first like horror film, first and only horror film he's in. Do we think? Is that right?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
let's
really
have a
follow
look.
his career. That I mean, The Jade, is that a horror film?
Oh,
his
hang
final,
on.
his final
Jade,
film role
William
was in
Friedkin film, Jade.
Okay.
He's in a film in 1980 called Without Warning, which is straight
is
to the top of my
fantastic.
list. This is straight to the top of my watch list. The picture here is a big-headed alien doing some pointing at people.
Predator ripped that off.
What's it called?
That is a fact.
What's this?
And
What's
the
this
same
called?
guy plays him.
It's called Without Warning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Sandy and Greg are
interesting.
teenagers who go camping despite warnings not to
Oh,
with their
yes.
friends.
No.
They soon encounter aliens who are using this area as a hunting ground. Absolutely.
I've not seen this, but I think this was
Is Martin Landau in that?
So like,
yes,
Yeah.
as Fred Sarge Dobbs.
Yeah, that's
Or
the
just
one
Sarge, you
everybody
can call
says
him, I guess.
Predator ripped it off, and they used the same actor for Predator,
Oh, did they?
allegedly.
I remember this was. I haven't seen this film, but I have seen there was a section of it in the first In Search of Darkness, I believe, where I was like, I need to probably watch that.
Oh, you do? It's
Um,
brilliant.
Yeah, this looks
David
great.
Caruso plays Tom. When you talked about Jade, David
Yeah.
Caruso played David Corelli in that. He got nominated for Golden Raspberry Award for Worst New Star in 1995.
oh,
Yeah, because he'd only been around for about 30 years.
He was actually nominated twice in the same year for another film called Kiss of Death, where he played
I
Jimmy
love Kiss of
Ward.
Death. Nicolas Cage, when he's doing press ups
Yeah.
with women.
Yes,
yeah.
he's
I
like,
mean, much to
Samuel
my
L.
shame,
Jackson.
everybody, up here, I've only seen. Let's just double check this again. Looking at the actor David Caruso, not considering his episodes of CSI Miami
I
by
just remember him from First Blood.
Yeah.
That's all I ever think of.
I've only
But
seen 9% of his
To be
entire
fair,
filmography, so
like
I've got
he
some
obviously
catching up
wasn't
to do.
he didn't obviously didn't have major roles in these films, but this is quite a good
what's that
little
film? Sorry, what's that?
Twins, King of New York, Hudson Hawk. That's a
Yep,
pretty good like late 80s run, I would
yeah,
say.
he's the mute in that, isn't he? He can't speak.
Yeah.
What's his name? Kit Kat. Is
Kit
that his
Kat,
name?
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kit Kat. Oh, it's all
Big
coming
David
back to me
Caruso
now, man.
fan in tonight.
But
Well,
session
not
nine,
really. I'm just a big film fan.
session nine
But
was his penultimate film role. He only starred in Black Point later that year. That was his last film. He had a guts full. Gone, see you
Yeah,
later.
he's got that CSI money now,
I'm
though.
out.
Is that still going? I feel it's one of those things which is like, when I think
Probably
about
still going
CSI
in some
programs, I feel
format,
like I'm
yeah.
Doctor Manhattan. Like the year is this. CSI is on the television.
I've never
It's
seen him
Horatio
in. I've never
Kane.
seen him on TV, to be honest, ever.
No,
I
oh
never
just know
usually
him
bothered
from his
watching that.
early stuff. And do you remember Thief of Hearts? Do you remember that?
no, what's Thief of Hearts?
It was the guy out of Scarface was the star of it. He was having like a affair or something, and he was his buddy, and he was like, "Come on, man, don't do that. You're fucking all the wrong girls." And it's just really bad. You should watch it. It's terrible.
An
If you looked
erotic
it up, you'd
drama.
recognize the poster.
Oh
It was
yeah,
in the video shop. It was always there.
yeah.
It was that thing.
Interesting.
I used to think it was Steve Guttenberg on the poster for some reason until
Does
I
look
saw
like
it.
him, yeah. He's definitely got the Gutenberg hair going on.
Mm.
Interesting. Um, yeah. Who else we got in this cast then? David Caruso, and then Stephen Gevedon as Mike, Josh Lucas as Hank, Brandon Sexton the third as Jeff. The only other guy I really recognized was the dude who ends up getting the lobotomy.
Josh
And
Lucas
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
from The
obviously he's in
Hulk.
American Psycho and
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the Hulk.
the
Yeah,
Hulk.
he had a run of being in massive films and they were
Yeah,
all flops.
who
He
was
was
he was
in
a bad guy in the
Stealth.
Hulk,
Do you
wasn't
remember
he?
Stealth with Jamie Foxx?
Oh
Oh,
God,
And
Stealth.
yes.
yeah, what was the other things? He was in Wonderland, with Val Kilmer.
Sweet
It,
Home Alabama, The Forever Purge.
I've never seen that.
Poseidon. He was in that. He was in
Yeah,
obviously the
exactly. Yeah.
remake
Uh,
of that.
Oh, your favorite film, your favorite shark film, Ben, The Black Demon.
Oh yeah.
That time when environmentalism is that shark.
Who is he in the Black Demon? Like the main man. He is the
His
main man. He's
dad.
the main character, isn't he?
Is he?
He's
Jesus.
the dad,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a weird film. Um, so yeah, this is what can you say about this film? It's so
Long.
this watch you weren't so into it this time, Guy.
No, no. I really loved this film up until when you asked me to watch it. Um, and it just didn't hit the same, and that's probably my fault. But I didn't watch it in the same way. I didn't watch it with the big sound and everything. The sound of this film is amazing. Um, and I got distracted by a lot of technical stuff that I was looking at that I shouldn't have been looking at.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's still good, but I remember it kind of blowing me away when I first saw it,
Yeah.
and now it doesn't. And the first time when you hear that voice that used to creep me out, that kind of like little boy kind of like distorted voice, this time it just reminded me of Abe from Abe's Odyssey, you know, the game.
Yep.
And I was just I was just
Yeah,
out of it when that
I can
happened.
see
So I
that.
was like,
Yeah,
oh, well, that's in my head now. I don't know what I'm gonna
ruined.
do.
What was it
So
about the sound in the original time, the first time you watched it, that you were so impressed by?
it was nuts because it was like I think it was just like a normal 5.1 thing, but it was really well put together, the system,
Mm.
and the way they manipulated you with the stuff, and the stuff where you like when he's in the car and you hear the first instance of the what is the spilling of the whatever.
Mm.
um that was really shocking because it really hit you at like 100
Yeah,
miles an hour, and it was great, and it frightened everybody that I ever showed it to with that
yeah.
system. You watch it now and it's not quite the same. So if you've got an amazing sort of like big sort of sound system, I would recommend watching this, absolutely, but
Mm.
Wow.
only under
I
those
feel like I want to watch it
circumstances.
again with this kind of sound system because even watching it, I'm sure as the director intended on my laptop, plugged, with no
Yeah.
headphones, just its internal speakers, um, while also playing the Final Fantasy One Pixel remaster. Again, I'm sure as the director intended. Um, Even then, with all of those circumstances against it, when you get the Simon voice,
Yeah.
or any of the sort of tapes, the voices are so dialed up and so invasive at times as well, particularly when they're off the tape, but when they are the bits when, Gordon's just trying to get about his job and then you get the I know you can hear me, Gordon. Like
Yeah.
it's really quite jarring and really quite shocking. So I can only imagine it's incredible with an actual
It
decent
is.
sound
It
system.
kind of wanders around the kind of soundscape around you, and it was really I loved it, but seeing it without that, it just kind of it didn't quite have the same
Diminished it a
impact.
bit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I say, it's aged a little bit with the technology because it was shot in HD, and at the time that was a big deal. And now, I mean, it's literally shot in I think 1080, so it's it's not aged great. And there was a lot of slowing down. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a lot of very subtle sort of speed ramps going on that really got on my nerves.
Okay.
Where they
Was
were,
was were those the technical things you were noticing then the speed ramps and the
yeah, it was really annoying me. So he'd
yeah.
reach for something, and all of a sudden it'd slow down for a couple of frames,
Yeah.
just to stretch out the footage, and that annoyed me because there wasn't enough motion blur on it and stuff. Sorry, I'm getting all
Yeah.
technical, but
No, this is
it,
really
Oh
interesting.
yeah, it's
Like
really interesting
this
hearing
is
the
this is
technical
the stuff
stuff.
that I'm like, my
Hell
brain
yeah.
is just like, like I'm thinking, that guy is ridiculous with his glasses and his workplace disputes, slagging off his boss all the time. He's bloody losing it. I'll tell you what. He looked a bit tired one time, and he's like losing it. You got to replace this guy immediately, otherwise we're not going to
Replace him
get.
immediately. He's absolutely fucked. Is it anything to do with the fact that you stole your girlfriend? No, it's
no.
nothing to do with that. I'm offended you'd say that it is to do with that.
Yeah, if you don't phone her. Like, David
Don't
Caruso in
phone her.
this is like my girlfriend goes to another school.
To be fair though, ringing up your ex-girlfriend and saying, "All right, it's me," that's an assumption. I feel like that's a big assumption. All right,
All
it's
right,
me.
it's me.
All
Has he
right,
gone to
it's me.
Canada?
Will
Has he?
only occur to whoever you're in a relationship with currently, unless you've got number recognition on your phone.
Yeah, David
Otherwise, you're
Caruso and
mine.
his Nokia 3210 is texting her like at 3 a.m. WYD.
All right, it's
She's
me. What's
deleted
that?
his number and gone, oh, who's this?
All right, what's that? He's gone to Las Vegas. I can't believe it. Bye.
I knew this would happen.
I knew this would happen. I had him down for it as well. Um, yeah. Okay. So in terms of where we start, so it's the cast we just mentioned. It's exclusively like a group of working stiffs, working
Yeah.
fellers.
I will tell you, if you're looking for a film that passes the Bechdel test,
Yeah, I was
look
thinking that.
elsewhere.
I was just thinking
Unless
that.
you
So,
watch the deleted scenes.
Oh, is
oh,
that two women that talk to each other in
so
that,
we
not
just
just
get
one?
No, there's not, but it's close.
so we obviously get the voice on the tape, and then we also get Gordon's wife, who we only hear and see a photo of, right?
You
Um,
That's it.
sometimes see her standing in a
if you say
doorway.
so.
You sometimes see her standing in a doorway.
When he
That's
parks
fine then.
outside, you see her like holding the
That's
baby going,
fine.
ethereal.
Oh, ethereal. I'm
Yeah.
off to I'm off to make some lovely spaghetti. You're looking forward to it, aren't you? Yes, you are. Don't make me jump while I'm boiling the water,
I'm
please.
boiling this in the most impractically large pot, the kind of pot that you would do like industrial scale cooking in. How much pasta are you doing? I always put too much pasta in, to be fair. Not
Oh
that
yeah,
much
you'll
though.
do that. Um, so most of the film was shot in a small section of the Danvers Asylum, real asylum, real.
It was written for it.
Yeah, that's right. So they
It was
obviously
literally written
found
for the asylum.
found the asylum, and then went, you know what, we should develop this.
There's a load of asbestos in here. How can we get Hollywood money to clear this out? I
Do you,
know.
do you know about that? Yeah.
That
No,
was really full of asbestos.
Yes.
great.
And
Hit us
they
with
worked
it.
in it, and they didn't clear any of it out.
They
So
didn't.
Wow.
great.
So all the dangers of asbestos that everyone's chatting about in this film, everybody knew, and they
So
didn't do
yeah,
it.
not only were those actors working in that asbestos-laden environment, but they were given lines about how awful asbestos is for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
but he goes, "You breathe in even a like crumb of that, it'll go into your lungs, and your lungs will get fucked up like a pearl. And before you know it, you're 30 and you're dead. Bang."
You'll be
It's
dead
true
forever.
method acting.
Yeah.
Do you guys all want to actually breathe in a load of horrible
That
asbestos?
was one of my alternate titles for the film when I was watching it. What was it? Spooge dust.
Oh yeah.
Spooge dust.
Oh yeah, not the spooge dust. Oh, to be fair though, if there were two films on a shelf, one was called Session 9, one was called Spooge Dust.
They both
Which
sound
one?
disgusting.
Which one would you reach
I
for?
feel like one of them is like a Mel Brooks parody of Session 9, Spooge Dust.
Yeah.
It's all just a bit rude, isn't it?
Yeah.
So apparently, like, it was just a small section of Danvers Asylum that it was shot in. David Caruso said the rest of the building was unsafe for shooting. Um, the
That's not what they
sets
said in the documentary.
Yeah. Even that bit.
the sets did not need to be dressed. Apparently, all the props featured in the film were already there inside the building. There were a couple of things. They hung up some meat hooks in one room, and
Was that massive cock really drawn on the wall, or did they do that for the film?
They put some plastic surgical gloves. Oh, you gotta make it believable, haven't you?
Put those pennies in the wall?
The filmmakers even reported finding old patient tissue and blood samples on the premises, which they did not
Nice.
film out of fear. Haunted
Not
tissue.
respect, just don't
Yeah,
film
yeah.
that. It's spooky.
Have you filmed? Did you film those haunted tissues? Yeah, I
Oh,
did.
God.
But did you say tissue as in like from like biopsies, or tissues as in snot rag?
It says old patient tissue actually, so I'm guessing like actual
Tissues.
biopsies. I'd prefer it if it was tissues. Bit of couple
Yeah, that's
of
what I
snot
thought you
rags.
meant.
You go in. Oh, but it's like a wanker's nightmare in here, and then under the bed, load of bloody tissues. Yuck.
There's population paste everywhere. It's
Spooge dust.
disgusting.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. So how did this happen then? So they just found Danvers State Hospital and then went away.
Someone will write a story about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the director found it and had a tour, and then immediately started writing the script.
He had a tour, bit short
Yeah.
of breath when he came out. I was like, bloody hell.
I ain't got
weird,
long
isn't
to
it,
live. I
after
better
that?
write a bloody script, mate.
Apparently, it's shaped like a bat or something
Yeah.
from above
Yeah,
or something, like in real life. And
Oh, in real life as well. That wasn't
and
just
that's what
for the
they
film.
called it. Yeah, and
Interesting.
it just inspired him to do
Well,
that.
they always think, I'm building an asylum. What's the spookiest animal I can make this look
Yeah.
like? Like, should I design it so it looks like a bunny? No.
No.
Bat.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Do you know about the camera woman? Or are you waiting to say that later?
No, please.
Oh,
I've
right.
checked all this
Camerawoman.
trivia in
The
there.
camera woman, she had an accident, and they don't quite know how or why, but a thing flew at her and almost lobotomized her in the exact same spot
Oh,
where Josh,
like-
whatever his name is, gets it.
just like a piece. What, like a piece of shrapnel?
It's
or
like a
something?
piece of metal or something. I can't quite. You'll have to find out with your Captain Google thing. But
Jesus.
yeah, she almost got actually lobotomized,
Oh God.
and it just missed her eye, and then they took her to the hospital, and they pulled out the thing, and it just kind of like almost disappeared. It just like closed up.
That is
Didn't heal up. It closed up.
that is strange.
Wow.
So
That's fairly incredible.
they're
Like,
making a film about about Danvers State Hospital with asbestos in the walls. People actually got
They were really
breathing the
spooked out
asbestos.
by it. Yeah,
and
I don't
someone
think they
nearly
went
got
back into that
lobotomized.
part of the building ever again because of that.
No wonder David Caruso just went, you know what? I'm over it.
I'm
2
wearing
Golden
sun-
Raspberry Award nominations in 1995.
in everything I'm in the future, I'll be wearing sunglasses. Thank you so much. So,
They should have brought him back for the last Rambo. I've just realised. Never mind.
Yeah.
Carry on.
yeah.
Been a good idea. Okay, so we start off Gordon Fleming, as we mentioned, the main man. He's the owner of an asbestos abatement company in Massachusetts, and he makes this bid to remove asbestos from Danvers State Hospital because he's absolutely desperate for money. And he does mention at one point, if we don't get this job, or if we didn't get this job, retrospectively, the company would have gone under. And his crew are like people that he's obviously worked with before, people that he can rely upon, and also like some new people as well, including his nephew, isn't it? His nephew,
Yeah.
yes. Old mullet man, old mullet
He
boy.
brings. I mean, he's already got like he starts with the talk about the materials they've been. Their work environment is already pretty toxic because there is David
got a note.
Caruso. He's the man who knows. He knows all the stuff. He's like his trusted advisor. But then the other two members of the team, there is a guy who's dropped out of law school who, you know, by all intents and purposes, doesn't really want to be there, or
Yeah.
like he's doing it to hide from the fact that he doesn't want to be in law. Like he dropped out of law school, and then you've got a man that stole David Caruso's girlfriend. Not only that, but then reminds him of it like every day. Like, oh, your ex said hello when I was
Can
in
you
bed this
imagine?
morning.
I
I
have
mean,
a note for that character with the mullet. It says too much mouth juice.
Too much mouth juice.
Yeah, because
well, he was
he's a bit
spittling.
slavery, isn't he? In the beginning, I
Yeah.
didn't like that.
Slabbery, yeah.
I've got shit nose.
And
Sorry.
What
he's
do they
always banging
say?
on about gambling as well. He's like, this is my
Yeah,
way out.
love talking about
If I
gambling.
ever disappear, don't look at me because I'll have pissed off the gambling school.
They do some good lying at one point where Gordo think they're talking about Gordo, and then Gordo suddenly appears, and they go, "No, we're just talking about your nephew, talking about how he's got a mullet, and was it he's partying in the back, and I'll make sure he's business in the front." Weird
Yeah.
threat.
What are you doing? You slagging me off? No, I'm slagging off one of your relatives. That's all right then.
Yeah. So yeah, they basically promise, even they're bidding for it, but the reason they get the job is because they promise to complete the job initially in 2 weeks. No, so it's David Caruso says 3 weeks.
3 week job.
Then Gordo says, I reckon 2 weeks. He's like, well, 2 or 3. And Gordo's like, overruled 2 weeks. And then somehow managed to like,
Yeah, like
but
the guy who's taking them around the tour, the person who I guess is managing the bid, says, "Well, got it." He's like, "Come on, mate. He's like, here's my baby, by the way. Here's some
yeah, she's got a
pixel art
baby
of Mama
born.
Nokia.
Baby's just been born.
Yeah, baby's just been born. I'm gonna need this job." And the guy seems to know him. He's like, "Yeah. This is brilliant. Yeah, just put the paperwork in." It's like, "Oh, I was hoping you could give us the job right now."
Oh, awkward.
Yeah.
Guy, do you ever get into these sort of weird little bidding situations where someone says, can you do this bit of VFX for me? And you say, well, when do you need it by? And they say, well, when can you do it by? Back and
No.
forth, back and forth, back and forth.
No.
What do you do?
Easy answer. I can lie if you want. Not really. No. People usually say, "Can you do this?" And I say yes, and they say, "If you won't do it, I'll get somebody else." And I say, "I'll definitely do it."
There we go.
I guess done.
Will
Like
that
a
do?
thinly veiled threat they've got for you. If you
Yeah.
can't do it, I know someone who could do it for half the price
Yeah.
and half the
There's
time.
certain people who know very well that I'll do anything they
Yeah,
want.
that's
So
good. That's good. Because otherwise they go, we know this guy Gordo, he's spot on. He's just had a kid, so he's a bit busy, but
he's good
he'll
for
do
it
it.
though.
He'll do it in half the
He's
time.
good for it though.
He's definitely good for it.
He's definitely good for it.
Yeah, I can only imagine the real life horrors. So the guy who chose around, his name is Bill Griggs. Bill Griggs goes back to the office and sort of says to his boss, "Yeah, I've awarded it to Gordon and Phil, the guys I just met." And he's like, "Procurement's gonna have something to say about this. This is a government job. You've got processes to follow, Bill. Come on." He's going
Well,
to be on paperwork for ages.
they said they'd do it in 1 week, which means that they physically won't be able to sleep. They're going to have to just
They
work
physically won't be
straight
able
through.
to sleep, and then for all intents and purposes, they're just going to do one room and a bit. They're going to do the sports hall and a bit of a corridor.
That was the biggest gripe that my friend that gave me the DVD in the pub
So they didn't
had.
get any of that work done.
It was the fact that they've got like a really sort of short schedule, but they're always outside eating sandwiches.
Oh yeah, they are doing that.
That's what annoyed him more than anything. It's like
They're
they're
always
always eating lunch.
They're either always eating lunch, making sure they finish early, because he
Yeah.
doesn't want anyone there overnight.
Yep.
Matey's down trying to get coins out of the wall, and the other fella's
Also,
gone, right, what's that? Like all that massive box of tapes he finds. He goes, right, I'm going to listen to these sequentially in order.
oh god,
That'd be like me having a weekend to clean up a hospital and going, what's this? The complete Dragon Ball Z? Well,
put your feet up.
yeah,
What are you doing? Are you doing a job? Yeah, I'm having a break there. You know.
yeah,
It's
I'm
not
just
weird.
watching 300 episodes of this, thanks.
Someone does a classic thing, which is have a lunch break, right? End of the lunch break, and then they go, "No,
I
I'm
just
going
need a
for a
cigarette.
fag." And you go, "Hang on a minute. That should fall within the confines of your break. You can't tack it on the end. Nah, it's different. See you later."
Yeah, it's a cigarette break, not a lunch break. Come
He
on.
deserves the lobotomy he gets, I would say. So yeah, Mike, the law school dropout, he loves the asylum history, can't get enough of it. Phil, which one's Phil?
I don't know.
Says who is
Phil's,
dealing with his
Phil's
grief.
David Caruso.
Oh,
Yeah, it's listed them in the wrong order here. He's dealing with the grief over a recent breakup. Well, very publicly.
A recent breakup. to Hank.
To Hank, who is a gambling addict. We all know someone like this. Someone who's like, get me some scratchies, will you, when you go down the shop? What's that?
He's
Oh,
been
I
on the
don't like
gambler.
these. I
Been
hate
on the
these
gambler.
scratchies. I'm not.
I'm £3 up. But you've dropped 40 quid into it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but currently,
I'm £3 up today. I dropped 40 quid yesterday. And then Gordon's nephew Jeff, who's scared of the bloody dark, isn't
yeah.
he?
Yeah,
Bless him.
there's lots of
I
that,
love it
isn't
how
there?
that's his character like thing. Is like him, real stressed. You cut up about a breakup. This guy, gambling it. This bloke, scared of the dark, isn't he?
Scared of the dark and has got a mullet. So we understand. He's real. He's really going through it. Um, yeah. So Gordo, like, he's clearly dealing with something. And I mean, the first time you ever seen this film, did you kind of think it was going to go in one way or another? I guess when he's making phone calls to his wife, and obviously there's a few times where he's talking to her and she like hangs up on him, and then later on, like, he just can't get hold of her at all. Um, I don't know. How did you feel about this? Did you feel like it was quite obvious that like something had happened potentially?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I figured it was gonna be just because I'm really skeptical. I thought it was gonna be Caruso because of the
Yeah,
casting.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and the way
Especially,
I mean, we like to spoil this or what? But
Yeah,
we're
like full
spoiling it. We're
spoilers for
spoiling it big
everything.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I actually thought how it ended was a little bit cliched, but
mm,
it kind of double bluffed me
yeah,
because I thought it was going to be that, and then I thought, no, it'll be Caruso, but it wasn't.
yeah.
And
I
Especially when he,
suspected that David Caruso might have been an imaginary. Have I seen him talk to any of the others? Has he been sixth sensing him the whole time?
mhm,
But
okay.
I think for me, when we first see this bit, when he goes to the house and sits outside there, I'm not claiming to be Hercule Poirot, Ben. Never have. But
No,
I think the second I saw him stay like outside the house that time, and he first had that memory of his wife standing there with the baby, like, you're dead then.
yeah,
yeah. He's not coping well with a new baby. What do they say? She's still got that. What do they say? Have she still got that eye thing? She's the baby still got that eye thing or something like that. Who
Yeah.
knows what that means?
Babies have always got something wrong with them, haven't they? They
Yeah, and he's
go on a
clearly
bit,
not
don't they?
coping. I feel like he's clearly not coping. He's clearly not sleeping. The stress of the job and like obviously the business might go under if they don't get this particular job, and the fact, I guess he hasn't got the most reliable bunch of fellas around him. They've all got their vices and their own problems. So it's just a big old stressful
This is a big old
situation for
problem.
him,
And
isn't it?
then to add the most of it, even during the tour, he hears a little bit of chat in his ear, right? With the
Yeah.
Gordon.
This.
Wait. When he's looking at that chair during the tour, he has a look at the chair that's in your background, Ben, for anyone on the video.
Yeah.
mm,
A chair that I mean, we can assume maybe someone sat in it to have an interview, but I didn't. There isn't any
No.
specifically. This is the chair that the murderer came
Yeah,
from,
but I
or
kind of like
anything like
that.
that.
I kind of we put together the pieces like all of these sort of like um
Yeah,
fractured pieces of the
yeah.
story, I guess.
And during this time, even at this time, before we know anything's happened or before the stress gets, already Gordon's got someone chatting on in his ear.
Yeah. Already he's got it. Someone going, Gordon, do you fancy pasta tonight? I'll get the water on right now. I'll get the water on, mate.
Penne or tagliatelle.
He's Penny or tagliatelle. Yeah. Sure, just
Do
one
you
and
want me to
one.
pour just a normal saucepan for? I mean, we have an infant baby, so that's not going to eat any. So enough pasta for two people, probably a small saucepan, or should I do a 10-gallon?
The baby might have a little bit of pasta if you mush it up. No, baby's too young.
Yeah.
Um,
We give some extra pasta to the dog? No.
the
Either way,
I
I'm going to
don't
do a
like the
big pan.
dog bit. I don't like that.
yeah, it's a bit
-1 star cruel
unnecessary,
to
isn't it?
dogs.
Dog
Yeah,
gets it, doesn't it? Awful.
the dog gets it. Yeah, it's just a
It
shame.
feels
To
like,
be fair,
yeah,
though, when he
Don't give a shit about the
describes,
other people.
I'm,
yeah,
here's what I'm doing. I'm not saying domestic violence is in any way the answer. It's absolutely not. But we've all been in that moment where something has gone wrong and the dog starts barking. That
Mm.
definitely amplifies how stressed you can be about a situation when the dog's barking. You're like, for fuck's sake. And then the dog starts barking at you. You're just like, mate, you are not
yeah.
helping.
You're making this
You're making
worse.
you're making this
But
a lot
to be
worse.
fair, we've already alluded to it, if I'd just been burned with some pasta water, I think I'd have had a bit of a sit down and gone,
Yeah.
oh, Bloody hell!
What?
I'd have been
Yeah,
standing there with my hand under the cold tap for the
yeah.
foreseeable. I certainly wouldn't have the wherewithal to murder an adult, a baby, and a dog,
I mean,
Got a
yeah,
and then
blast as
repress it
well.
and go to
that's it.
work.
I mean, that's the crux of it, isn't it? Like we can beat around the bush, but that is essentially what he's done. And
Yeah,
we don't really know at what point in the film he's done it, right? Are we supposed
I think
literally
it's meant to be on
before
the
they start the
night.
job?
Yeah, it's the night that he's gone home because he did definitely go home with champagne and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oreos, the two celebratory items that any
Did he
American
go in with Oreos?
working man would
Were they
buy.
double stuffed Oreos? Because they're for a
I'm
special
not
occasion.
sure if in what the late 90s, early 2000s, did double stuff Oreos even exist at that time? Was that
I don't
technology
think
we
they
had
do now.
available? Um, yeah, so he goes home with the bits, and he's going to celebrate the fact the job has been done, and that's the time that he does tell the story later, but he tells it to David Caruso that he just ends up hitting his wife.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
slapping.
yeah, I did hit her, and then he just mutters with a knife in the heart. But
He does just say just hit her, though, doesn't he?
yeah, he does when he admits that a bit later on. He's like, you know, when someone opens with a story about that, and like I'd feel a little bit aggrieved if I was David Caruso on that. Was you're only asking me that question so you can tell me a story you want to tell. He's like,
Yeah.
what's the worst thing you've ever done? Oh, don't know. Shit myself in Ibiza once. I don't know. But he goes, no.
Wait.
It is like,
I mean,
funny you should mention that. I hit my wife yesterday. Ah.
oh yeah, so it is. So I feel like he almost wants him to go. Ah, we've all done that. But
But
David Cruz,
he goes, you fucking what, mate?
that's serious, mate. That's serious.
He goes,
What
that's
what are you playing at? That's out
literally
of
the
order.
worst.
Nah, I was joking. I was joking. It was a laugh. It was just a laugh. Um, yeah. So while this is happening, obviously, alongside this story of like everybody removing the asbestos and Gordo's psychological descent into madness after committing a terrible act. Mike has obviously discovered the box full of 9 audio-taped therapy sessions recorded with Mary Hobbs, a patient who suffered from dissociative identity disorder. Now, there are three identities, aren't there? There's the princess,
Yeah. So there's
um,
Mary, original recipe.
original recipe Mary,
This is the bit where I get
princess.
really confused because I watch the deleted scenes and
Oh,
it's all
Oh, has she got more
conflating.
characters?
you know more then?
Is she like James McAvoy and
Well,
Split
there's
in the
somebody in the
extended?
building through the whole film.
What?
Oh,
There's an old woman in her underwear in the building watching them the whole time.
oh, and it's
And
not Mary
and
Hobbs,
I don't know who the hell it is.
is it?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Because I watched the deleted scenes out of, context. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and then it shows I don't want to skip to the end already, but it shows uh my name is Joe, whatever his name is. It shows him on the phone talking to his wife on the phone, and
Yeah.
the camera kind of pans around him, and I can't remember if this is in the film or not, but the camera pans around him, and his phone is completely smashed up and broken.
Oh,
So he's
Oh,
talking into a broken phone,
yeah.
and then this old woman that's in her underwear that's been watching them the whole time through the whole film, uh, wanders in with what looks like a banister and brains him and
what?
kills him,
Brains him
and
to
so
death with a banister.
Gets
yeah.
gets banistered.
Bit of banister
It's a
bashing,
better film,
and
isn't it?
he's on the floor with all blood like gushing out of his head and everything, and then I think it goes off, and that's the end of the film.
So in
Oh
that one, he
wow.
just gets the old lady. I guess in this circumstance, in this context, a goodie. Goes
Yeah,
right. You've done all these murders. Better bash him with a banister.
yeah, but they've plucked out every single scene of her from the entire film. There's like a new
Oh,
opening where it shows him
Wow,
walking up the
okay.
steps, and then it goes up into the attic, and there's all these things, these little rune stones and stuff that she's laid out in this attic where she lives, and yeah, she's just completely been deleted from the film.
wow. She's just up there practicing a baseball swing with that banister the whole
Yeah, I mean, she's
time.
not evil. She like every single time you see her, she's kind of in fear of whatever's going on in the next room or whatever, hiding
Oh,
from
Okay.
them.
okay.
But then she just decides to bash him in the head with the banister.
Don't
Release
get
the old
rid
lady cut, everybody.
don't get
Oh,
rid of
and
my
I
precious
suppose, although
asbestos.
I do suppose plausible deniability. I've seen the phones. These are original recipe Nokias. No way that would have been smashed up. That whole hospital would
It's
have come
literally
down
in
and that would have been
half.
fine.
Yeah.
3310, it could have been in there. Could have gone through all the terrible therapies they had in that in a cruel olden days asylum and still have had half its battery left by the time they'd done that job.
Yeah,
It would have been fine.
I believe it. But yeah, they don't show that in the full film, do they?
No.
Where
No.
because I watched everything all at once, so I'm just
Yeah.
getting it all mixed up.
So basically, the tapes are like Mary's psychologist attempts to unveil details surrounding a particular crime that she committed at her home 2 decades prior, something that
And this
she
is all
seems
when they
to have.
talk about I think it's before he listens to it, he talks about the
Oh, the
repressed
story.
memories. And obviously that's a
Yeah.
real story with the repressed memories. And literally the one he tells about, oh, this little girl once in daycare, she went and then she said that her parents took her to the woods and they abused her and ate a
Mm.
baby and they all wore black robes and things like that. Real story. People in the US went to prison for it. They arrested people who worked at daycares and teachers and things like this during like the Satanic Panic era. Um, and he sort of talks about those repressed memories. And then, as luck would have it, as fortune and coincidence would happen, he finds some tapes about unveiling some repressed memories just the next morning in a box.
Yeah. Well, the sort of key element to that is that they find out they do some tests on her in this story, and find out she was a virgin, so that she probably definitely was
Definitely
lying about
didn't.
that anyway.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, then he finds the tape, and that's obviously why he's like obsessing and listening to these tapes as well, because they're in relation to this story that he's obviously fascinated by. Um, but yeah, she's got multiple personalities, unique voices and demeanors. So is it like 20 years ago as well, these tapes,
Yeah.
potentially? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so it probably is her then that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
she's been in,
looking
she's,
around.
the asylum's been closed since the 80s. It's early 2000s when the film comes out, so let's assume it's contemporary. And then she's meant to have committed the crimes 20 years before that, and she's been
Yeah, I think that probably makes
institutionalized for
sense,
that
yeah.
time.
And now she's just milling around. Are we supposed to believe in that alternate cut or different version that she's a real human living person? She's not like a
I
supernatural?
don't think so. I
No?
think that's why they were cut out. So it's
Got
more
you.
of a,
Okay.
you know,
Can't swing a
Yeah, I suppose
banister
it
if you're
gives
a
it,
ghost.
yeah, gives it a bit more of an obvious supernatural twist. Um, okay. Hank discuss. He loves gambling. He's always going on about gambling. They talk a lot about having an out as well. So basically, like certain characters, you'll get to a point with this job where you just basically need an out. You can't keep doing it for years because your body will give up on you, or you just you'll have enough of it. So it talks about having an out, and Hank is obsessed with gambling. He's like, yeah, I've got an out. I'm gonna go and live it
Go to
up.
gambling school.
Yeah, that's right, gambling school. You're gonna go to gambling school because the most rich and powerful people in the world have made their money from gambling. That's how it works. Um, and as luck would have it, one day when he's in is it the crematory? Is that
You're
right?
just down in like a spooky corridor, right? And
Just
he
down.
thought, right,
What I
yeah.
hate about this is that he's always listened to his music like in both ears, full blast, on his own in the dark. I could not do that for a second. So someone would creep up on you. Um, Obviously they do say to old what's his name, Jeff, don't listen to music because the vibrations will
don't listen to rock and roll music.
Spooge
It'll give
dust.
you,
well
give you
yeah the
spooge
spooge
dust.
they'll create the spooge dust, go straight into your lungs. You're done for. So if you want to listen to your tunes, have them in your headphones. But yeah, he finds like a load of antique silver dollar coins from like
And
with like
teeth. And
and teeth as well.
yeah, and teeth. Just all sorts. It's just a wall chockers with treasure.
Treasure. Well, some people like the teeth. Well, I suppose.
It's like it's like that bit in The Hobbit when they go to the dragon's house. It all just spills out like a corridor full of coins. Scrooge McDuck's room's there next door.
Diving into a big pile of coins.
Yeah.
Immediate broken neck.
And
That's
then he
what
goes,
that
"Oh,
would look.
chop my hand on something." He's like, "Oh, there's a lobotomy tool here. Oh well."
Oh well, interesting. He and this is good because obviously, again, this bit is quite scary when he's like just getting frightened. These are the exact kind of things you would be frightened of if you were in a little area like this. You'd see a shadow and suddenly just see that all wrong. You'd hear a noise. What does he see?
Pigeon.
Pigeon. That's it. He goes, "Oh, so just a
He
Pigeon in
pigeon."
sees
Then.
he
slow
see he
motion.
sees down the corridor a big Big load of it's bloody a Batman. It's come to get me. Just a pigeon.
It's a
It's
bloody
fine.
Batman, isn't it? Do you like, and again, I'm skipping a bit ahead. I like Gordo's attack where he just does a little run up behind people. Right. Ah, you're done for. That's good. So I'm assuming he does that to him
Yeah.
in this moment. Uh, so we see Hank get slurped off when that happens.
And then the
And
next day,
next day,
Amy, David Caruso, Joel, his ex, the ex, she's phoned up and said he's not come home
yeah, he's
because
not come
he went
home.
back in the night, which when he got right. So he'd gone home and
Yeah,
gone right. I'll come back tonight and make sure I make off with all these coins. Yeah, he's got the biggest bag in the world. What have you got there?
So,
Don't know about.
bag.
Yeah, massive bag with like a dollar sign on it, and they're like, I've got about $300 here. This is enough to see me right. I guess they're antique coins. He'll
Yeah.
go and pawn them or something, and they'll be worth up to $2 each.
So he's pretty much just like. So what do we believe in this moment that David has just fabricated this story completely?
I'm guessing because he's not so mad that he can't make up a lie.
Yeah. Well,
mm,
hey, it's me. All right, yeah, he's gone. And so the story is that Hank has gone back. He said he's basically found his meal ticket out of there, and he's gone to gambling school. I guess gone to gambling school or just gone to Vegas.
Gone to
Just gone.
Vegas. He does mention gambling school. I'm not making that up.
No, I remember. He turns up. He turns
I
up in
don't.
Vegas. He turns up
He
in
does say,
Vegas.
I'm going to gambling school.
Sits at the poker table and puts down these little antique silver dollars. Come on, Ned.
Just go-
I want that all on black, please.
Walks into Caesar's Palace. He's back the next day.
Bloody hell, you never guess what. Yeah, they stitched me up, they did. They talk about getting an additional worker, someone called Craig McManus. I don't like the cut of Craig McManus's jib. They're just like, if Craig gets wind of this, he's going to be fuming.
I feel Craig is the biggest victim of this film because he
He
turns
is,
up
yeah.
in the last scene to
All
get
right.
murdered.
I've just cancelled my other job, but I'm here now.
that's the that guy, isn't it? I shouldn't have said anything.
It's that fella.
Let's get him.
Yeah,
It's that man.
it is.
Craig McManus.
Craig McManus. So basically, they're talking about getting Craig McManus. There's a weird bit as well where Gordo sees Phil chatting to two random fellas.
Two local street toughs.
I'm assuming like doing some level of drug deal, but then he says when Gordo confronts him about it, he goes, they were spray painting and I told him to sling the rook.
The thing is this is one of those conversations that if people ever talk to each other in this film, they could have resolved it because
Yeah.
at first he tells him that much later when he's being nice to him. When he first comes up, he goes, "And who were those boys you were talking to down there?" And he goes, "How dare you?" And he really gets in his face. Look, if you want to say something to me, and then like about literally half an hour in the film later, he goes, "Oh, they were the people that were graffitiing the place, and if I told them I saw them again, I'd call the local constable, and it'd be like, well, and they've said they won't come back." Brilliant.
Imagine you were
It's
doing a
not the
lovely,
first time.
imagine you're doing a lovely bit of graffiti on the old abandoned asylum, and then David Caruso comes around the corner.
If I see you again, I know your mom, right? I'm going to tell her
Yeah, we don't
that
believe
you've
it for a
been.
second. Do not believe it for a second.
Yeah.
So I
But
think
it is tense, though, because at the same time, this is when David Caruso's going around the rest of the crew and being like, he's bloody lost it. Gordo.
yeah, it's proper like, yeah, it's a bit mean, isn't it? Well, I guess it kind of makes sense because I guess he's kind of concerned about him, but really he's like they all just care about their 10 grand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which
know,
they
if
have
we
to share, by the way.
Yeah,
So
it's
10
not,
grand each.
it's not 10 grand each, it's 10 grand between them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's peanuts.
So you're going to get £1,800 each before tax.
Before tax and with a lovely bit of asbestos poisoning in your
Buddy's
lungs.
good for it.
Yeah, he is good for it.
He's good for it. Around about now is when Gordo confines in Phil that he slapped his wife, Wendy. Yeah, I was reading something earlier. It said he accidentally slapped her, but I didn't ever get that. I feel like he just lost his temper and slapped her. I didn't think he did it accidentally.
Like
Oh,
it's
whoops.
accidentally slapping your wife if she's tickling you and your arm like flails out and you accidentally, or in that video when people were doing that Chappelle Roan song and the guy chops at his partner in the throat when they're doing
Oh,
a
yes,
dance.
I have seen that. I have seen that. Yeah.
Like that's an accident.
Yeah. Um. So, but he's trying
Yeah.
to call her. So she's refusing to answer his calls, or let him see their infant daughter. Yeah, and he goes, "Where are you staying?" And he says, "In a hotel." Like again, I didn't. Do you think that's true?
Sleeping in the car, I gathered, because that's when
Yeah.
there's a bit when he gets there and goes, "Oh, you're here early," and he's literally like, "Oh, yeah, I am.
Yeah, yeah,
Here,
just arrived actually.
here
Just pulled
early.
around the corner. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I came and arrived here early, and then changed into yesterday's clothes, so I don't spoil any new ones."
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
is this the bit when he tells the story that he sees the, if it wasn't sort of spelled out to you already, it does the flashback of, we hear for the first time he comes in doing kissy noises. He goes, "Oh, not now. Save that for later." And then we get,
I don't know.
"Do it, Gordon."
It's kind of weird. I feel like
Palpatine is
this.
in his ear, and
I
he's like,
don't.
"Right."
I don't know if this is like an actual memory because this seems really disjointed and odd. Like initially she's like, "Oh, you never give me roses. Oh, how lovely." Like I don't know. There's something about the way this dialogue is performed that it makes me feel like it's the way he's like remembering it
Yeah.
rather than it's actually what happened. Like I
Something
can
I should have
almost
mentioned before is that scene is tacked on to the ending of the deleted scene. As
okay,
as
Is
if
it?
yeah, it's as if it goes sort of when he gets brained by the banister, it goes into his mind and then he goes into
uh,
the house
so we
with
see we
Oh,
see the
the
full
okay.
scene pan out right in
yeah,
the deleted scene.
yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, so yeah, we just sort of get like a real cutaway where we get him walking into the house. We hear like the splash, and then the thing that gets me is that sound clip has been used for other things, and it always is like, I think it's like a really commonly used bit of stock footage, and I
I'm
would
glad you
imagine
noticed that. I
it's the
noticed
one
that
that's
too.
like farmer getting injured, and it's like, "Oh!"
Yeah. Did
and
you notice when uh Josh, whatever his face is, got a lobotomy, well, whatever it is, when he's pulling the thing out of his face, I could
Mm.
have sworn the soundtrack was off Creepshow.
Oh,
It
really?
sounded
oh, I'd have to
just
watch
like
it back.
a Creepshow pull.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be like they have these archives of sounds, but
Oh, yeah.
the
I've heard the
farmyard
same.
injury, is definitely
Oh, is
one.
it like that?
Mhm.
And
The
then you
same like
hear then you
creaky
hear
door.
loads of
Creaky door is
things
like the
being
number one,
bashed.
isn't it?
Yeah. And then we get the bit where like it's Gordon in his full asbestos clothes, blood splashing all over them.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, it's kind of obvious what's happened in that deleted scene. Then, guy, does it
Yeah.
seem like she's happy to see him, or is that kind of like a figment of his imagination, or is it
I
all
don't
kind of
know. I'd fallen asleep by then.
okay?
It was just like a retelling of what we'd already seen, but a little
Yeah,
bit extra. But that was the last shot in the entire film in that
yeah,
version. And
got
just
you.
before that, you saw him on the floor after being bashed to death with the banister. So I'm
Mm,
assuming it was in his mind. So it
yeah.
might have even been suggested that it never even happened.
Mm,
Oh.
So it,
His wife's just at home. She goes, "Oh,
well,
I
yeah. I
prefer
mean,
al dente.
his
This is
phone was in
ruined."
pieces as well. He wasn't even
mm.
speaking to anybody. He's just
So it could be like
yeah.
the stress of having a new baby and him not sleeping is taking its toll on him. He's kind of maybe even like imagining doing these things to his family, but he doesn't actually do it.
He's chockers with asbestos, by the
He's
way,
chockers with asbestos, and he's sleeping in his car, and no one can get hold of him on the phone.
because it's
Bloody hell,
bust.
Gordo. Um, yeah. So around about now as well, in the stairwell at the hospital, Jeff is milling around, and he sees Hank. Hank is wearing a lovely pair of sunnies, and he's talking to himself. What's he saying?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? Are you all right, Hank? Is everything okay? Yeah. He's acting very strange, obviously, not himself. I don't.
Is this what you got? Is this what you picked up the Ed Names Odyssey voice guy?
No, it was at the beginning. Uh, I find the voices quite creepy. It's just at the beginning, it sounds just like Abe from
Yeah.
Abe's Odyssey. They can't talk like that. It's weird. It's so strange. But
Maybe that's what they're going for. Only a few years after the game came out, so you know.
I don't know. It's very creepy though. The rest of the voices. It's just
Mm,
that beginning one. I don't want to slag the film off because I quite like it. But
mm. So
yeah.
Jeff goes and like tells everyone that he's seen Hank, and obviously everyone's like, "You're talking shit." Like we've
Really
spoken.
aggressively. Stop bloody lying, all right? If I've heard second hand that he's run off to gambling school. That is my
That's
truth, all
what
right?
happened. And then Gordo points out, in fact, we didn't actually hear from her. We only heard what you said, David Caruso. And he says, how dare you?
So
How fucking dare
let's
you?
phone her. You're not going to phone her actually because my phone's been thrown out of the window. So
You
you
want to
can't
phone her,
phone
do
her.
you? Eat shit. No, you
And she
can't.
doesn't even go to this school, so you wouldn't know her.
Yeah. um, when does he say the iconic fuck you? It's not quite yet, is it?
It
They're
is
Oh,
on the
that's
stairs.
brilliant with the crash zoom.
oh, it's insane. It's
Yeah.
absolutely insane in the best possible way. Crash zoom. If you had one crash zoom in the film, it was perfectly executed in that
It
moment.
has to be David Caruso doing it with his
Fuck
finger in your face.
you. It's just like so drawn out. I think it's when they split up to
I think I've got that on my notes as well. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Zoom. Yeah.
fuck you,
Yeah.
Zoom. Basically, when I was searching for a GIF earlier, it was like the first 20 options were that exact moment.
Whoa.
Brilliant.
Fuck you. So they all split up to search for him essentially, but Mike is absolutely addicted to listening to the tapes at these point. He can't get enough.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go look for him in the cassette room.
In the cassette room.
Yeah.
I wonder if listening to these tapes might give me a clue as to where he possibly is. I mean, he's playing a survival horror game and actually caring about picking up all the lore. You know, some
Yeah.
people skip through it. Some people store the files away, store the audio tapes away. Don't listen to them.
And what are we
He
on
sat down and
story
listened to
wise
them
at
all.
this point? I forget what session he's on, but at this point, so he's heard the princess, who is like a nice innocent character that is telling the story of this girl, how she got some lovely presents and her she got a lovely china dolly and her brother got a knife. Odd gift choices.
Odd gift to. I've got you a lovely knife with a
Got your
lovely.
lovely china doll. What about your brother? Got a Spectrum ZX? No? Got any bike, pogo stick? Some of those jacks that we play with at the contemporary times? Ah, big old Bowie knife.
Yeah, a little bit
You
odd.
play house, you play street crime.
Mm.
Um,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure where we are with the with the tapes now.
I
I
think
think
we're I think we're about there, and we've seen allusion to the fact that there is the princess who is innocent. There is a Billy who controls the eyes and he sees everything, he knows everything, and then there's Simon. We don't talk about Simon.
don't talk about Simon now.
He's the real that character of his day. Bruno.
Bruno.
Yeah.
He's the real that
Bruce Willis.
character. Bruno's. um, so when do we find Hank? Because he's stripped down as well. He's had a lobotomy and he's gone. Do you know what? I fancy being
Yeah.
half
So
nude.
basically, like much like many people have had a lobotomy, he's proper fucked up. So he's just wandering he's just wandering about bumping into walls, looking out the window because his brain's had a needle in it and
Yeah.
yeah, has been scrambled about.
Hmm.
So he's been factory reset and is just wandering around the
Yeah.
hospital. So it's not sinister, and I think you could be. This was the first time I'd seen the film, so I was like, I still didn't have a clue watching it how much supernatural story was going to be in there, and I didn't know if he was really like him was a ghost. What had gone on with him? Should have been
Yeah.
smarter and realized they discussed how to do a lobotomy as part of the film, so it probably was coming up.
Yeah.
But he's just acting very strange, and they find him.
Oh yeah. He's acting very strange. He's acting. I mean, you could say strange. You could say, "All right, mate. You don't seem yourself, Hank. You know, you're usually all about the gambling, all about the winding fill up about you, the fact that you've shagged his missus." And again, it's another thing. Like he doesn't. What's interesting, taking a step back, is that he doesn't even seem that into that relationship. We see a shot of him at home, and Amy's like kind of talking to him. He's just watching the TV, having a beer, and he almost like doesn't care about her as such. Doesn't he say something about having kids? And he goes, "Well, not with Amy. Like
Yeah, not with Amy. She's rubbish, actually.
she's actually
Um,
rubbish." Like
I
I
think
feel like he's only done it as a power play in order to like get one over on David
yeah, he
Caruso.
doesn't say, said, "Oh, I like it," because it really annoys him.
That's literally it, isn't it? That's
Mhm.
weird. Very weird.
Two
Deserves a
things he
lobotomy.
likes: gambling and being petty.
Gambling and being petty. I've actually shagged your missus, or have you? And I don't even like her either. Ooh, you have that, you bitch.
The winning combination.
A winning
Yeah.
combination, yeah. So when they do find him, Jeff sees him in the dark. Oh yeah, that's right. The generator goes off, doesn't it? Runs out of fuel.
Oh
Jeff is
yeah, I
terrified in the
like this bit
dark.
when Jeff is trying to outrun the lights going off.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
That's
Um,
really good.
Yeah, I believe that was done by accident.
oh
Really?
really?
Yeah, something happened, and they said, you know, do it again, roll it or whatever, and he was shitting himself.
Yeah.
He was really not happy. The guy running away from the lights.
And that is like a Tom Cruise level sprint, isn't it? You know when
Yeah.
when someone's doing like Terminator 2 running, doing as fast running as you can. Someone's gone,
We all
get ready to
remember.
run, lads, and then throwing a pizza at someone's window as you're walking home late at night. That's the type of running you do then. It's probably like,
Pizza, run. We all remember doing. It reminded me of like when you're a kid and you turned off the lights downstairs and like had to run upstairs. That was always
The
pretty
big light.
terrifying, wasn't it?
probably goes,
Big
yeah.
light, yeah. Mike manages to restore the electricity, not because he wants to make sure everyone else is in the light and can do their jobs, because he's absolutely gasping for the ninth and final tape.
Yeah, 'cause
Which,
finally is about to be introduced to the main character Simon that he wants to hear from.
uh, and this personality, this is the malignant personality. Simon was responsible for Mary murdering her family.
And he tells the story saying, all right, lads, I'm Simon. And basically, this is it. So the reveal of the story is that a little girl was pushed over by a brother when they're playing hide and seek on Christmas Day evening, of all things, making this a Christmas film. And she cut
Yeah.
her face on the China doll. So that's at this point the personality Simon went, right, give me the keys, Cindy Lou.
Give me the keys to the castle.
And he yeah, once he's got control of the wheel, he uses the brother's knife to slash him up, slash him into mince like Freddy Krueger beating up kids at a barbecue, and then doesn't want the little girl to get in trouble. Says, "In for a penny, in for a pound, love. Stab your mum and dad to death." And she goes, "Yeah, all right." And that's why she was locked away.
There we go.
And then we get the same reveal. Well, we get a so after our mulleted friend runs back out and the thing comes on, he is absolutely tuckered. Is old Jeff from being
Yeah.
out, been in the dark. So he goes, oh, gasping for an Oreo. So he goes out to the car and has one, and we see him being approached by someone going, "I'm eating these. Is that all right?" And then cut to black. He's been got
Yeah.
by someone.
So
Someone
we
who was
know.
going in for a hug with because he's
Is
like,
that in the film?
yeah,
Wait
that's
a
in the
minute.
film.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I think there's a deleted scene of that shows him with a big
That
hook.
shows him.
There's
Got a
another
big-
scene a
he's
little
got- he's
bit
got a
later.
big
We
hook
get that
or
later.
something. You get
Yeah.
that
With
later.
with
Yeah.
like the
there is a
grouting
deleted
knife.
scene because it was really bad quality.
I think it's clear this.
I've watched
I
them
feel like it's
today.
clear
I
that-
just
I
can't
feel
remember.
like it's clear that it's him because it's obviously someone he's like super comfortable
And he
with.
would hug. So who's he gonna hug? His own,
Yeah.
like of all the characters, it's gonna be
But
his
it shows
uncle.
his face.
It does later in this
Okay.
particular in the first scene. It literally is first person from the killer's
I'm
point of
sorry,
view,
I've got them all mixed up. All the deleted
and you
scenes.
see Jeff going for a hug, and then it cuts. But yeah, then basically the true victim of the film, I guess, apart from the wife and the dog and the baby, turns up. Craig McManus
Yeah, Big
comes
Craig.
comes bombing up to that dangerous driver though, so maybe this is why he's not the primary victim. Come on. You're parking, you don't need to be going that fast. So he comes screaming into the car park, and it's like he's listening, he's having the best day ever. It's like, I've just got on this real cushy job, listening to, he's listening to like Mr. Blue Sky. He's got like his coffee, he's like walking into work, and it's like, what's this fella doing on the floor? And we find sort of wrapped in a tarp, Hank. Hank is there. He's
I
not
think
dead.
we've skipped ahead a tiny bit because I think there is a bit where Phil finds Gordon in Mary's hospital room. I think this kind of like happens alongside the ninth tape being like presented. Staring at photos from his daughter's baptism that he's
that's
like
it.
pasted to the wall using spooge dust. I don't know what's he
Yeah.
using.
Probably some other toxic chemical.
Yeah, yeah. And so apparently it's the next day after that when Gordon arrives at the
Yeah.
hospital. And because Gordon arrives at the hospital and finds Hank wrapped in plastic.
Gordon's
So it's almost like
arrived.
he's
Sorry.
discovering He's discovering Gordon's arrived. He's discovering Hank wrapped in plastic. Like, what's going on here? This is weird. With the lobotomy pick protruding from his eye. There was a moment earlier we must remember where Mike like threatened to do it to Jeff, didn't he?
Yeah,
Well, not
that's
with
how we learned
not with
about
the
doing
actual
lobotomies.
not the actual lobotomy pick, but like it was what was it like a
Knitting needle.
just a little needle he had lying about. Um, yeah, so he arrives, and then this is when he gets confronted by Phil, um, and Phil like vanishes, doesn't he? So I think we're already
He's
supposed
imaginary
to
at that
believe
point
that
because he's
Phil's
like, "You're asleep. You've got to wake up."
yeah.
And that's where I thought, "Oh no, is this going to be what's its name? Is this going to be an identity thing? And it's going to
Yeah.
be Vince Vaughn in hospital somewhere having to think about all this."
Oh God, can you imagine?
Vince
Yeah, they're
Vaughn.
all they're all characters in a hotel. We should do identity one day. That's mad. Um, the yeah, and I thought, oh no, is this going to be David Caruso? Is just going to be a doctor shouting at him because he's in a coma this whole time? But no, it's not that. He just disappear, just as Craig McManus walks in and goes, "What's this guy doing on the floor covered in?" And he takes the sunglasses off, and
What
he's
I
got
kind of
a
like about this is that it's like I feel like it's kind of realistic. I feel like if you genuinely turned up somewhere and discovered a dead man stood over and someone you knew stood over him, it'd be really difficult to just come to terms with what had happened. You would be like, "What's going on here then? This is weird. What-
yeah,
Is he all right?" No, he's got something sticking out of his eye. He's all right. He's sleeping it off. He'll be fine.
he's fine. Look,
Um. So yeah, and then Gordon attacks Craig like and stabs the lobotomy. Pulls
lobotomizes
the
him as well.
lobotomy pick out of Hank's eye, puts it straight into Craig's eye. Double dips.
Ugh,
Ugh.
Double
didn't
dips
even
you.
rinse it off.
Don't even rinse it off.
Sloppy seconds.
Oh dear. Um, Gordon, he's like in a dissociative state, and I guess he is like for most of this film anyway. Unless when he's actually talking to somebody
Yeah,
else. Um, and he finds the bodies of like everybody else in various rooms, and then recounts the moment of him killing them all.
yeah,
So not only has he killed his wife, his daughter, his oh he has did he kill his daughter as well? Is that
yeah.
that's true?
I think he goes wife, dog, baby.
Jesus. Um, he recounts murdering each one of them. Obviously, he murders. Is it Mike running up behind him, doing a little silent run up behind him? Okay, I'm coming for you. That's where we get like the blood smear on the
On the floor. Yeah,
yeah.
you
Um,
bonk him on the head.
I guess just bonks him on the head, yeah. Because how does he kill Jeff? Did we actually see how he kills
Yeah, you
Jeff?
get that's where you see him walking up with a little hooky knife, which I think you
Oh
saw
yeah, the hooky knife. That's it.
where
Yeah.
you saw David, you saw Phil holding it earlier, but then he must have got it when he killed Phil, and he kills Jeff by the van last, I assume.
Mm. Um. Yeah, and then Gordon tries to call home to apologize to Wendy. She doesn't answer. I say that's rude. She should at least pick up, but no, she can't. She's dead. Um. Yeah. What do we think is the link between Mary and Gordo in this? Are they kind of because obviously there is a
Well, we
line
get
as well.
I read into this a little bit, and I've been behind on some of the trivia, but I did get this because the film, at least the original, well, the released theatrical cut of this film ends with the parallel tape with a Simon voice explaining why they did it. And the film ends with like a quote, like a quite haunting one, because the Simon person, like he's not a cackling evil demon. He talks to the doctor who's interviewing them quite calmly, and he says, "Oh, I basically, I took over the little girl's body and helped her do these murders because she was in trouble." And it says, "Oh, so what is it, Simon? Where do you live?" And this film ends with him saying, "I live in the weak and the wounded,
Mm.
Doc." Um, and therefore, it's implied that there are different readings of the film, apparently, whereby some of them it is just a dissociative state. It is a fracturing of the personality into different components. There are some that claim, is this a reading of potentially that this is like a demon, like a demonic character that
Mm.
takes control of people who are in these extremely traumatic situations and is like a malevolent force.
So essentially, taking control of him when he'd only been there for like an hour.
Yeah.
and then got him. Well, well,
He
well.
obviously knew there was going to be a stressful situation that was coming up that day.
Yeah. Was that your takeaway as well, Guy? Would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's your read?
I'm so confused with these deleted scenes and stuff. Um, yeah, because that's the last thing I watched before I came on here was the deleted stuff. That same quote that you were saying about I take over the week and all that kind of thing. That's laid over him on the floor with his head busted open by the banister and stuff like that.
I feel like I
Uh,
need to see some of these deleted scenes. I'd like
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
see.
need to check
I
this
mean,
out.
they're on the. I've got the thing here. You should buy this.
Yeah.
It's it's, it's
Well, that's a nice little.
Yeah, that's lovely. Is that an Arrow release as well?
Second Sight.
Oh, Second Sight. Okay. Okay.
If I
That's
had half a brain, I'd have read the book that's in it, but I didn't.
that's a
So
There you go. You can have
that's a
some.
nice package.
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
That's a lovely
Yeah.
package you got there, Guy.
The first time that's been said.
For those not on the video, no, use your imagination.
I'll put my pants back on.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that's it. It kind of ends with this, with obviously that quote: "I live in the weak and the wounded, Doc."
What's your
And
take, Ben? Do you reckon
yeah.
madman or a horrible ghost?
I mean, there's something to be said. Sometimes spaces can have a profound effect on somebody, can't they? And I do like the idea of that it's actually just this space. It's maybe not a particular spirit, it's maybe not a particular ghost or something like that. It's just like the walls have soaked up some level of evil, and it comes back out in form of asbestos, perhaps. It's
Yeah.
got into his lungs, and I feel like it was probably something he was capable already of. It was already there for him. It wasn't like he walked in a completely innocent man and left a murderer and then committed those acts. I feel like he was clearly under an insane amount of stress from having this baby anyway, because I think at one point he says he didn't want the baby anyway. He did it for his wife. So there's clearly a lot of resentment. There's a lot of anger that already exists within him. And this place has somehow allowed him to just commit these acts. Whereas before, maybe if he didn't go to this place, he wouldn't have committed those acts, but they would have still been there in his head. So
Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
interesting, an
I think it's
interesting.
fair to say if he'd never been near the building, nothing would have happened.
No,
He's,
Yeah.
he may have turned out a little bit, you know.
If
yeah,
you'd just taken a job cleaning it out of like a really boring office block, getting all the asbestos out of there, sort this out some guy's garage flat roof or something like that. No. Horrible haunted
he's like,
asylum.
I'm feeling pretty rough. I don't feel great. I'm now going to go and spend some endless hours in an asylum, just cleaning out the old. But yeah, but what I think is interesting to believe that he committed these acts before the job even started. So it's not like he'd been worn down by this place and then he lashed out. He literally did it immediately. So yeah, it's pretty
Worn down
crazy.
already.
Yeah,
That's like the emotional roller coaster when something's good happening and then something wrong happens. You're like, oh no, I'm actually more annoyed if this had just happened normally. If
yeah.
I'd been having a bad day down the Dole office and then I'd had boiling water poured on me, I would have just laid down on the floor and had enough because I was in quite a good mood.
Exactly. Okay, there we go then. That's session 9. Let's play a little bit of name game. Obviously, Guy, you've listened to the show
Yeah.
before, so you know exactly how this works.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah.
Really difficult for anyone who doesn't know how it works. Though we will give Guy the name of a film that sounds a little bit like Session 9, but with a different description.
I'm
And
not going
based
to
on
get
our
any of
clue,
these.
you
Yeah.
have to work out.
Imagine our friends at the asylum had made a version of Session 9 to trick grandmothers into buying it on home video release.
Yeah.
And this is what we'll be describing.
Andy, would you like to kick it off? I'm assuming
I
you need
shall
to.
indeed. Have you got the film description for me, Ben?
Tensions rise within an asbestos cleaning crew as they work in an abandoned mental hospital with a horrific past.
Okay. Tensions rise in this film in a family home when the kid, the sort of 13-year-old comes back from a session at school, and the parents, inquisitive about their child's day, ask how it was.
I feel like this is the same as the one I've got, so I'm going to say session fine.
Session fine. Very good.
Oh dear.
Session. Oh dear. Well, you know what the
How's the
answer is.
session, lads? Fine.
I feel like that was my best clue, so I'm going to go for it anyway.
Yeah.
Tensions rise in an asbestos cleaning crew as they work in an abandoned mental hospital of horrific past. After listening to 9 tapes, they get to the 10th tapes, and it turns out Mary's actually got over everything, and she's feeling right as rain.
So that is also
Fair enough.
session Mary's fine.
That's also
Yeah.
session fine. Session
Um,
Mary's fine.
Here's one I've got for you then. So, as we learned in the film, as tensions rise during a difficult asbestos cleaning job, one of the co-workers likes to unwind by having a real big bit of binge drinking, and he invites one of their German co-workers, only for him to
Ah,
decline.
session 9.
Session 9.
I had a similar one, but it involved Hitler.
Yeah.
Do you have any for us, guy? Join.
No, that was it. And another one that's
Oh, sorry, I've
unrepeatable.
eaten your
Absolutely
lunch.
unrepeatable. Um,
Have you got any more then, Ben?
Unrepeatable.
yeah.
Okay.
It'd get you shut down. I'm not saying it.
Oh yeah. Tensions rise with an asbestos cleaning crew as they work in an abandoned mental hospital in Newcastle. All goes a bit mad. It's just right on the river as well.
Is it Session Fog on the Tyne?
Session Fog on the Tyne, and they're listening to tapes. It's Gaza just talking about all the crazy things he's been doing when he used to play for England and Lazio and
Taking chicken to Real Moat, things like
taking
that.
chicken to Real Moat. Morty.
Um,
Very good.
Brilliant.
okay. In this film, tensions rise in Oak Furniture Land when, as an asbestos cleaning crew get in there, they find out it's not oak at all. In a series of tapes, they find
Session Pine.
Session Pine.
Great.
Oh yes, Session Fine.
It's just scraping the bottom of the barrel, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time with this part of the show, we do scrape the bottom of that barrel. So tensions rise when asbestos cleaning crews. They work in an abandoned mental hospital with a horrific past, and somebody finds these therapy tapes, but they're all in the form of 7-second long videos.
Session Vine.
Session Vine. That's a good one.
Yes. Session
Um,
Vine.
In this series, absolutely fed up of people taking their lunch break and then having a separate cigarette break. The team get together and overcome their problems by renaming, in a really bougie way, what they're going to call their lunch break from now on to prove that it's just for eating.
Session Dine.
Session Dine. Very good.
Such a complex clue for what's going to be that. Tensions rise when asbestos cleaning crews. They work in an abandoned mental hospital and they find a load of tapes, but it's just that one take that song that Mark Owen sings lead on.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, I don't know. Like, what's Mark Owen's lead song?
Probably the only one he sings lead on, I think. And I absolutely hate it every time. Every time it comes on the radio.
Oh, I know what it is. It's Session Shine.
Session
God.
Shine.
I just
Oh,
said
Such a big star to me. You're everything
Yeah.
I wanna be. That one.
Yep. I'd have gone for Ben. I was like, tensions rise as the only CDs they've got are some late 90s, early 2000s indie pop albums. That would, of course, also be Session Shine. That's all they
Oh,
can
right.
listen
Okay,
to.
I got you.
Do
Are we?
I have any others? I
Are we
don't think
done?
so.
Uh,
Even I'm drawing a line that
any
crime
from
would line
you,
with 9.
any from you, Guy, or are they all
No,
Hitler related?
I had 2, and one of them is not repeatable.
Okay. Well, you can tell us after you record.
I will. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Okay. That's it then. That's the end. We've
Oh,
got to rate
God.
the film.
Right, the film.
A to F. Pluses and minuses are allowed. Rate good or rate bad. Maybe, Guy, you should give us your original rating before you watch it this time around.
Yeah,
And then-
rating with and without brilliant sound.
yeah.
My original rating from when it first came out would be probably a C plus,
Okay. Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I was a miserable bastard back then.
Yeah.
And now I'll probably give it a D. I don't know. It depends on your rating system, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have
D's
to
get
really
degrees,
try
that's
hard
still
to get a
passable.
B or an A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy, what you saying?
I'm gonna go with giving this a C. It was interesting. I think the story has a lot more to unpick, especially hearing some of the things that Guy has picked up from the the additional material things that were cut out. That like I think I would revisit this. And you know what? I've still got a soft spot for this type of film, right? It isn't an overt horror film. There's a bit of a mystery to it. Um, and I agree, even in the format I listen to it, I think some of the sound work and the voices on those tapes, there's got quite haunting qualities to it. So I'll give it a C.
Wow, don't know what to say, guys. I kind of really like this film. I'm gonna go for maybe like a B plus. Um, I don't know. It's just something about it. The first time I watched it, I really enjoyed it as well. This time around, it wasn't like this second watch kind of like diluted any of it. The atmosphere for me, it still really worked really well. I think the performances are great. Again, oh, yeah, it is a weird cast. David Caruso, I don't know.
Not a bad thing
There's
though, is it?
something weird and dream.
Yeah,
The fact that it's a weird cast makes there something weird and dreamlike about it.
it
And I
feels
felt
like a
that,
film that you have actually dreamed. I
yeah,
had this dream, and David
yeah.
Caruso was cleaning asbestos out of a mental hospital.
It does feel like that. And I don't know, like it reminds me I've always kind of like enjoyed watching like abandoned like videos of, people doing urban exploring and going in abandoned places and that. And it always kind of pans out the same way, doesn't it? Like someone goes, "Well, we're trying to find something supernatural," and we didn't, obviously. But I just enjoy the way this kind of pans out. I think it's a really interesting, strange little film. And yeah, I enjoy any film that kind of like subverts and avoids the obvious kind of scares, like, oh, this takes place in a haunted asylum. Okay, we're expecting jump scares. We're expecting this. We're expecting it to fully go into supernatural territory at some point or another. And just the way the psychological horror stuff, it does remind me of stuff like Silent Hill in places.
Mm.
And I like the kind of camaraderie slash hatred between the characters. Just like some of them are like, oh, this is like blokes on a building site. Other times, I've stolen your girlfriend. So yeah, I'll go for a B plus for session 9.
Just the seething dislike of your co-workers that exists in
But
many a
again,
workplace.
that's completely realistic, isn't it? That's definitely like it. I've got to go
What
work with this
Gordo
guy.
needs to do is get everyone out on a nice team building session, get them down a laser quest or something like that, take them go
Get
ape.
them to a laser quest in Bolton, right,
Oh
guy?
yeah.
And
Brilliant.
get into a laser quest in Bolton. It'd be a great time. Some people take it too seriously. Some people say you can't use close combat when you're when
Yeah,
you're a laser quest. You can't
basically,
hit people with a
David
gun.
Caruso, old Phil and Hank would get into a bit of a bust up, but at the end, they'd all be friends. They'd probably, they'd sit and have a pint together afterwards.
Yeah, they would.
Probably be closer than ever.
And they'd all sit around and they go, right, let's all say what's the worst thing we've ever done.
Yeah, they'll go
Let's
round
admit
the
it.
room.
This would be a great team building exercise. Brilliant. Okay. Guy, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's
Really enjoyed your insight into maybe some stuff that we don't necessarily cover on this show. So that was great. Where can our listeners find you online? Keep up to speed with what you're working on, and of course with any films that are going to be coming out that you've got your hand in.
I guess Instagram's your best bet, really. It's was it Guy underscore Pearson 0, I think
Yeah.
is the handle or whatever. But yeah, I just kind of live on Instagram. Other
Mm,
places I'm around, but if you go there, you can find other things that I've done and other things that I'm involved with because I'm always
Nice.
plugging stuff on there.
And we'll
But
look forward to seeing your upcoming films,
yeah.
plural.
me too.
We'll look
It's
forward to that, and we'll look forward to also not seeing, but quite kind of seeing all of your VFX work when we when we try and point it
If
out.
we see it, we're doing it wrong.
There's a reflection
Exactly.
there. I've seen it. There it is. No, it's
Exactly.
not.
Yeah, it's the bane of my life. But yeah, thanks. It's been great. It's been lovely
Good, man.
to actually
Enjoyed
come
it.
on after listening for so long.
Oh,
It's been
well,
really
An
nice.
absolute pleasure, man. And of course, you're
yeah,
welcome
thank you
back.
so much.
You're welcome back. Let's talk about something else. Talk about the Greasy Strangler, maybe.
Greasy Strangler. Book
Greasy
me in.
Strangler, get it in the
Let's
get
get
it
in
on
the
there.
diary.
I won't shut up about that film. I'll tell you that. Yeah,
What a
So,
belter. That's so good.
thanks.
I bleed Greasy Strangler.
I bleed grease.
Practically, yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to all our patrons over there. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast hosting the show. please consider giving us a rating or review. Head over to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and our website, horrorhangout.co.uk. We're on all of those platforms. Next week, February begins. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Can you believe it? We've got our lineup in right. So this is an exclusive. The lineup's in the bank, but we don't know exactly what order we're going to be doing it in.
It's a
But we are going to be
mystery.
covering. Shall I say what we're covering? Might as well say
Yes,
what we're covering.
please.
But so who knows what next week's episode will be? But we're going to be covering new releases: Heart Eyes, The Monkey, which we're very much looking forward to, as well as a couple of '90s classics. We're going to be talking about Seven. We're hopefully getting Janine Pipe on for that episode. She loves the film, so we want to talk about that with her. And Misery, another film that's kind of crazy we haven't covered
And you're reading
before.
the book, right, Ben?
Because I'm reading the book, yeah. So I'm keen to have a big old deep dive into the world of Paul Sheldon and Annie Wilkes. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, a little bit of a bonus. I might go and see The Presents this weekend. Talk about that
Oh
when we're
yes.
back as well.
Well, I might go and see Companion.
Companion, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Tell you what, depends what your weekend looks like. Do both if you're listening. Lovely
Do
time.
both. Get yourself out there.
Support
Get yourself...
cinema, particularly if you're anywhere near the Prince Charles Cinema. Go and see him there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There we go then. Thanks again, Guy, for joining us. And
Pleasure.
we'll see you next time.
See you all
Lovely.
later. Bye for now. Oh, and if you're planning to bid on a job, just pick a realistic time. Why don't you?
I say, if you're making a big old a big old portion of pasta, be careful with the boiling water. I reckon, and also be aware of your surroundings. If everyone's just going to come into the room while you're boiling it at optimal boiling time, just be aware of your surroundings.
Let's put the onus on other people, actually. Like, remember when you're in primary school and the policeman comes in and tells you about dangers? Would you go up to a hob that's chockers with boiling water? No, you wouldn't.
No,
Like,
you
don't play on the stairs. Don't play near the hob. Just be safe in your houses.
be bloody
'cause
safe, for God's sake.
You never know how things can spiral out of control.
Exactly.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See you later, everybody. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye bye.
See ya.